It's time for Shawn and Maya in the morning.
Quick pitch to Walter, looking for the record, cuts back, he's got it, he's out of it at 25 to the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship. Chicago has won the Stanley Cup. Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it, throw to Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this Hump Day edition. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra, and oh man, do we have a great show for you today. Guys, well, listen, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, well, then I guess you found us on Facebook. Now, if you're watching this on our app, then I guess you found us on our app. And if you don't watch us on the app, you know what? Download the app. Wherever you get your apps from, Google Play, iTunes, Amazon, wherever you get your apps from, please make sure you download the app, SportsZone Chicago. And if you watch this on our YouTube channel, then I guess you found us on YouTube. And if you're not subscribing to our YouTube channel, shame on you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, listen, I just told you we have a phenomenal show, and I'm so fired up. But I got to bring her out. She is back, baby. You know it's Wednesdays. You know what day it is. She just got back from the Maldives. She was chilling out there. She is my co-host, the co-pilot in this insanity, the one, the only, the incomparable, the illustrious, the illuminous, Maya Akai. What up, Maya? How you doing?
Real talk, I'm back from my couch. I ain't been nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere for a minute. So it's cool to be at home, though some people don't think so. So I'm going nowhere. No, it is good to be back. And I can already see that people are trying to jump off. Vernon, the comment, what's wrong with you?
Theo ain't coming here. Vernon says, Theo, can you come to the south side, please? He is staying far away from the south side. Not when you get your legs taken out from underneath you like Rick Honda. He's like, yeah, deuces. I'm not even thinking about taking a red line south. No way. Hey, right. I will tell you what, though, Maya. You may want to go look for some employment on the lakefront, Theo.
You know, somebody made the comment, which I thought was interesting, is that he potentially could be the next commissioner of baseball. And I was like,
yeah, I could see that.
Based on what, though?
His track record of bringing 85 years to the Red Sox, 108 for the Cubs, and he's got a good baseball mind. He's got a good baseball mind, so it's possible. I'm thinking politics for him. Truth be told, I'm thinking politics.
Maybe, because managing one organization. I mean, because that's the case, then that probably means that every Yankee GM could then be head of baseball because they've won the most championships. The Red Sox, even before him, did it. I mean, you've got teams that have done it. So to me, being able to build a team does not mean that you can navigate the waters that come with running the entire league. I mean, that's a bigger challenge to me. Not to say that I don't think that he has the ability. But when someone said that, I was like, just based on what, though? I don't know. Anyways, politics, maybe.
I think he's a good guy. I think he's a guy who loves the intricacies. Like I know I was kidding about the Bears, actually, those tongue in cheek, but like that's not enough for him. Like with the Cubs, like with Boston, with the Cubs, like you're involved, you're in charge of the Cubs, but you're also involved in the minor league system. I mean, you got A, you got a single A, you got high A, you got double A, triple A, in addition to the big squad. And I think someone like Theo, the academic that he is, the cerebral that he is, I think he loves all of that to make that end product that he did with Boston and with the Cubs. So, but we'll see. So how you been? Good to see you. Good to see you again.
You know what? I'm good. I'm enjoying what weather there is because we get these like little pockets. Like we're about to have some more good weather again.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I've just been
Right
like
as we're about
enjoying
to
it.
shut down.
Okay, I got really upset when I heard about, and this is what is about to shut down. But see, I was doing stuff outside before anyways. But then it was in group fitness, and instantly I got upset because I am like really into my Orange Theory thing here. And to hear that's group fitness,
Yeah?
I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, whatever. Can't have nothing. COVID. That's why we can't have nice things.
Nothing nice. I'm saying 51 degrees today, 65 degrees tomorrow, 61 degrees on Friday, and then it drops 47 on Saturday, 42 on Sunday.
But that's technically, but that's fall weather. And trust me, you want to step down like 40s, 30. You don't want to be like just dropped into 10 degrees. So my thing is technically it should be 40 something degrees right at this time of the year. So I'm okay with it. But the fact we're getting these little pockets of nice weather, people get out and enjoy it while you can. So
that's for real. That's real talk. Just don't walk in a forest reserve out in the southwest suburbs. That's not good. No.
You know what? Again, here come people ruining things. Miss you too. See, I'm saying because I'm the kind of person that would do a lot of trail stuff. But, I stopped actually trail biking about 2 years ago because I had an odd experience with somebody. So I don't know.
See, I can see you with your conceal and carry. I'm like, back up.
I'll have to, at the break, I'll have to show you something. One of the police officers that comes into the emergency department, he's got a 3D printer. And he made these, so he gave to all the nurses in the ER, like anybody who worked in the ER, these self-defense things he made on his printer. So if you're that you're able to, you can put it on your keychain, but you can hold it as you're walking to your car. So if someone comes at you, they don't know you have this quite an interesting little weapon, so to speak. I'll have to show it to you at the break. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, and he was like, here, take one. He's like, do you have mothers, sisters? He's like, hey, I guess he didn't care if the guys got jumped. He didn't offer a single guy one, which I thought was funny. I think when he said your wife, but he didn't offer the guys nothing. He's like sisters, mothers, anybody want extras, which I thought was super cool. So yeah.
That is pretty cool. But he's like, you better know how to knuckle up, fool.
I guess he figured,
you're a man, you better knuckle up.
Right. If you get jumped and you can't defend, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so it's funny.
Oh man, listen, we got a great show, but we need you to get interactive with today. Vernon is on he's fired up already. Thank you, Vernon. We love your comments. We love you getting interactive. But it doesn't matter if you're watching us on Facebook Live, if you're watching us on our app, if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, leave a question or comment right there on the post. And our producer, Ivan, will pull it up. And with that, let me bring him in and say what's up to our guy. He is the man behind the curtain. He is the Wiz, the Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife himself. Ivan Vargas. Ivan, what's up, Papa?
What's up, guys? Good morning. What's up, Maya? You're back.
I'm back. Yes, I am back.
Finally, because I've been lonely just talking with this guy the whole time.
Lonely just talking to Shawn?
Yeah. I was like, man, where's Maya? Maya would be perfect right now as a segue. No, but we've been holding it down. We've been holding it down.
You guys always hold it down. You do. So, I didn't have a voice last week. I mean, Wednesday, I was losing it, and every other word was like, I'm like, okay, I can't talk for 3 hours like that. But it got better, so. No, not COVID related, because nowadays you can't cough, have a sore throat, or sneeze without somebody thinking you got COVID.
I know. It's hard. I'm over here walking, and I'm like, even with a mask on, I'm trying to hide my coughs. I feel like I'm ashamed of my coughs.
Yeah, you're like a leper.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of here! Get out of here!
Him!
Go get tested.
It is. Everybody is totally just. I mean, and it is for just cause you should be concerned, but it's interesting how people are just you can't cough anymore, and it's like people coughing is normal.
Overly dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah, just a smidgen. I mean, it's okay to be. First of all, if you cough out in the open, then that's rude. You know what I mean? You should have a mask on. You should, as I tell little kids, cough into your arm. You should be doing those kind of things. So if someone's just flat out just coughing, that's rude. But coughing people is perfectly natural. So stop freaking out so much.
What was funny is, so I was before a couple weeks ago, I was out at the store, grabbing some stuff, and believe it or not, and you know what I mean. Sometimes your saliva goes down the wrong pipe. You figure after 40 plus years of, but it just would. It know which pipe to go down. It happens.
Right, it happens.
And then you get that nasty coughing fit where your eyes start tearing and everyone. And I swear, people walked away like, I swear to God, Maya, like I literally had leprosy. I'm like, no, I'm trying to say it. I just
well, first of all, you're going to hear more of it because it's cold and flu season. So people might get a cold, it's that time of year, allergies, people are sneezing. So it's like, don't overthink it that just because someone coughed, they have COVID. I don't know. It's just, I get people are sensitive and I'm okay with you being sensitive, but use it in a smart way, which means make sure you're wearing your mask, washing your hands, doing all those things to keep yourself safe and not just being worried about somebody coughing on you, so to speak.
Cold and flea season would suck.
Yeah, it sure the hell would, wouldn't it? I got COVID and fleas. COVID and fleas,
You look like a hype. Yeah. Hey, well, listen, like I said, we got a great show for you today at 10 o'clock. I mean, at 9 o'clock, our guy, he's ready to roll. Boy, what's he wearing today?
I don't know.
He looks like Mr. Huxtable, Dr. Huxtable a couple times. He's just a regular average Joe, pun intended. Our guy, Joe Phillips, is about to come out with us from the Chicago Crusaders. We talk our top of the morning segment, but at 10 o'clock, we got Evan Altman from CubsInsider.com because, wow, some big news, huge news. He decided to step down yesterday, so we're going to talk to Evan Altman. Then at 10:30, our guy, Luis Medina, with some Bears talk. We're going to talk
Medina.
So we'll have Luis Medina talking Bears and a little Bulls. Because, Luis is like the man of all trades. He covers either the Cubs, the Bulls, the Bears. So we're going to talk a little Bears, but also don't forget today is the beginning of the NBA draft. So we're going to talk a little NBA action with Luis. So, guys, you know how we do the first segment of every show. It's called Top of the Morning to you, and these are the hot topics of the night before, just sports in general. And boy, oh boy, do we have some doozies. Our Top of the Morning segment is powered by the Chicago Crusader newspaper. And with that, we want to bring in our man. That's our man, 50 grand. That's our A1 from day one. He's a sports editor over there at the Chicago Crusader, and he's still high as heck. And I don't mean high off his birthday from Sunday. It's our man. Bring him out. The one, the only, the guy you can find on Twitter at ACA Joe, Joseph Phillips. Joseph, what's up, Papa?
Bring him out.
What's up? What's up, y'all? Welcome back, team.
Yeah, hey.
Gotti and Mike, y'all back. Gotti and Mike is back.
Back together, baby. Hey, Ivy, that's where you should have queued up little Mace. Welcome back. So Joe what'd you turn, like 25, 27 this weekend?
Close, man.
Close.
Yeah, the big 4-2, so.
Ronnie Lott.
Wait a minute. Are you really that old?
Yeah.
I thought you were like 32 or something.
Nah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know you was in the 40 club. Okay. Hey.
40 club. On the screen.
I watched all the McGruff Crime Dog commercials, like. Don't do drugs.
Oh man.
Man, it's good to see you, buddy. Good to see you.
And happy belated birthday. Hopefully you I'm sure it was difficult to enjoy because you couldn't really celebrate. But happy belated birthday to you.
You said the wife threw down. You said the wife threw down like a fool. He had some surf and turf.
Man,
I was like, that's what I'm talking about. I see. That's your A1 from day one. Like she got your back. Steak and was it lobster? Steak and lobster.
Steak and shrimp.
Steak and shrimp.
Shrimp. And then we had some fettuccine Alfredo.
Nice. Okay. Well, you ate good, so that's all that matters. Okay.
Hey, well, let's get right to it. Our first top of the morning topic. Holy sheesh. Man, we knew it was coming, but just when it actually finally happens, it's still kind of a shock. Theo Epstein has decided to step down as the vice president of baseball operation for the Chicago Cubs. Jed Hoyer is going to replace him, but it is the end of an era on the north side for the Chicago Cubs as Theo steps down 9 years into his tenure. He's made it known He was along. He subscribed to the Bill Walsh philosophy that 10 years in the spot is about right, and he decided to cut it 1 year early. Joe, your thoughts? You're a big Cub fan. I know you were happy as a pig and slop when Theo got here some years ago. He did what he said he was going to do. How are you feeling right about now?
I'm feeling really excited. I'm feeling really happy for Theo, because he did it the right way. He did everything he said he was going to do, including how he was going to end it. Theo, young Theo, I just want to send this message to you. Whatever your next endeavor is, man, I hope you do well. Thank you for breaking a 108-year curse. Remember, nobody else was brave enough to come here and do that. So we love you, man. Thank you for all the memories. And thanks for not sneaking out with a gorilla suit on like you did in Boston at the bench and at the bars for all night long. Thanks for not doing that. So.
Good stuff. So you know what? It is a bittersweet day, I would say, for many Cub fans, because let's be honest. There were generations. There are 4, 5, 6 generations of Cub fans that had not seen a World Series. He came here. You saw his resume, his track record over in Boston, where he ended the 84 year drought, 86 year drought, something like that over there. And you talked about it doing it the right way. You talked about building it through the draft. Building into the draft, get all your position players, then you buy your pitching. That was his model. That was his way of doing it. And it worked in Boston. They won in 2004. They won in 2007. They won again, but he was with the Cubs at that point. But everything had his fingerprints all over it. So, to finally end that curse, like that was one hell of a party in and around the shot. Like, I'm a Sox fan, as you can see, but that was one hell of a party that was going on in and around Wrigleyville, and not just Wrigleyville, but around the country, because
the world.
Remember, the WGN was the superstation, so there are tons of people. The Cubs organization has fans all across the country, and for them to finally win it, because of Theo, because of his shrewd business moves, that was, I can't tell you how many people cried. How many people cried because they saw Cubs win a World Series? How many people cried because their parents didn't or weren't able to see a World Series? It was really, really, really deep. And as much of a meathead Sox fan as I am, I actually felt I was happy for a lot of my Cub fan friends, because I know how I felt back in 2005. Yeah. And for them to see it, and I know some people weren't some former Sox fans weren't there to see it because they had passed on. And that was sad for me, so I can only imagine how it had to be for you guys.
I actually really respected the way he left, regardless to how he subscribed to whatever theory. I do believe sometimes there is a shelf life to managers and coaches, etc. And it seems like people often get angry, like someone will leave, and it's like, maybe if you keep changing everything, but it stays the same, maybe one piece you haven't changed, like you look at the Bulls with Garpax. Now, mind you, we haven't seen where that's going. But what I think is unique, at least about Theo, I liked when he pretty much said that he finds the thrill in the chase and the development and the molding of something.
Yep.
Maintenance is just not my thing. So I want to be like, what does your wife think about that comment?
Well, at the end of the day, it's all about faithfulness.
I'm just saying.
But when it comes to business, it's a different story. Okay?
No, it is. I'm just.
So Theo, long term, he was faithful to the Cubs.
Oh, he was.
But at the same time, he did whatever he should have to get us over the hump. And in addition to that, he's going to go down as the greatest GM of all time.
For the Cubs?
For Major League Baseball, because he broke two of the largest curses that ever existed in sports history, and that's Boston and that's Chicago. He's already first ballot Hall of Fame. Now he's going to go into ownership, and like he said,
I respect.
I'm going to pop up at the Cubs games and watch it from a fan perspective, and that's Theo, man. Theo is such a cool dude, man. He's such a cool
he
dude.
is. He seems. I think when he had things that were difficult to navigate, I think he did a good job at it. With the Ricketts family, things would bubble up that had nothing really to do with the team, but people made it about the team, so to speak. And I think Theo always did a good job of navigating those waters, so to speak. So, people shouldn't be like, oh my God, he's a quitter. Look, he delivered what he came here to said he was going to do. And if it's time for him to move on to something else, then so be it. Now, for me, what's going to be interesting is who follows in his footsteps, because it's going to be big shoes to fill. But I also feel as an organization, they're at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Even within the clubhouse, it isn't. David Ross isn't going to be enough to right this ship. Chris Bryant seems a little discontent. There's issues. So you got a person who's got to come in here, and yes, you do technically have a team that's talented that can still win, but can you kind of iron out the kinks that are there?
The thing with me was, and I got a clip to play for us, but the thing with me was the sustained success. And the World Series, I'm like, look, there's nothing you can't say I can't, bitch about it too much. He won a World Series. But you talked about sustained success. That was your second major point when you came in here. And you had 2 years of it, and that was great. I understand it's hard to win in baseball, but then the team, for the past 3 years, has significantly went on a decline. You can't find any offense on that team for stretches at a time. Is it really in a good place right now? I don't think so. I think he's leaving it. He's leaving it to where it's like, all right, Jed, it's at a place where you take it to where you either take the Cubs up or you take the Cubs down, and it has nothing to do with me, and I'm out of town.
Right, and he said this too. So let's make sure we quote what he said. He said that leaving the team in Jed's hand, he says, it was something that I couldn't commit to, which was a long-term commitment, because he knew that it was going to be a long-term commitment to turn it around. That's why he left it to Jed. So Jed knows, and we know as Cubs fans, right? We're not going to fix this problem in 1 year, 2 years. We're gonna have to develop some pitchers in the farm system, because he had to give up. Listen, Theo Epstein did everything he's supposed to have done to get us that World Series.
Exactly.
What's that?
I'm sorry. You're right. No, you're right. But except it's just the fact that after the moves that he made after that World Series were not good.
Yeah, but because people held him hostage, like Rick Hahn, who did us dirty on that deal with Jose Quintana.
Hold up. How we do you dirty? How we do you?
Let me finish. We had to give up. First of all, the Yankees did us dirty. We had to give up all of those farm system players for 1 year rental in Aroldis Chapman. So that
do it again.
Then we had to give up Eloy Jimenez.
Exactly.
Did you do it again?
I would do it again.
Yeah, that's okay. There's no complaint. So this
it sounds like a complaint.
No. I'm just talking about the dirty people on the other end of the stick. I'm not blaming it. They tried to use us.
They didn't have to agree.
Use us. Don't try to do that.
You don't have to agree to give up Gleyber Torres for Aroldis Chapman. You didn't have to agree to give up Eloy Jimenez, Dylan Cease.
Y'all know
Eloy Jimenez. You know it did. You didn't have to do that. There was no gun to your head. There's no gun to your head.
That's exactly why Rick Hahn is getting what he's getting right now.
Let's go to
whoa! Why we got to go down that route? Man.
Done it before. Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series. Bryant makes the play. It's over, and the Cubs have finally won it all. 8-7-10.
Oh, some shameless self-promotion in there. Also, here comes Ivan.
that clip courtesy of Fox Sports, the final out in the 2016 World Series.
But let me just say this, for all your complaints. Now, here's the only thing that I think you have to put into perspective is that you have to wheel and deal if you feel that you are in a position to win now. And so he had brought a very young team up from their farm system, who obviously just their matriculation up to the pros was amazing what he got. So when he traded away those other pieces, and that's why you always stock your farm system, because you realize that some of those prospects are not going to stay with you when you need to trade. So that's part of, he did exactly what negotiation is, as Louis Misha said. It's like, that's part of what you do. I know for all the things that the White Sox, that Rick Hahn has in that farm system, they're not all going to play for the White Sox. They're meant to wheel and deal. Now, what you hate to see is if you deal a piece and it turns out to be better or exactly what you thought it was, that might hurt. My only issue with the Cubs, what doesn't make any sense to me, and I guess you can attempt to blame Madden for it, but I don't think you can, is they still had a level of talent that kept underperforming after they won. But I also say at the same time, not underperforming, that's not fair, because realistically, baseball will catch up to you. You don't get to be the golden child forever. If you look around Major League Baseball right now, there's a lot of really good teams. But that's when you have to take your blinders off about your team and thinking that we're the best and nobody can beat us. That's a lie. The rest of baseball caught up to the Cubs. The question was, could you match it? And if you couldn't match it, you got passed up. So eventually, Milwaukee was your nemesis, and they caught up with you.
You know how they caught up? You know how they caught up with us? No Dexter Fowler. Okay, so that was the first step. Okay, so we couldn't bring him back. So that's the first step. Second step was we had to deplete our farm system. We had the top farm system in Major League Baseball at one point, even after Chris Bryant was called up. But we gutted that farm system due to hardball negotiation tactics from other GMs. They got back, and I'm not trying to play sourpuss and crybaby. But
you are whining. You are whining because the mission was accomplished. Here's my thing, Joe. If he makes all those moves and you don't win a World Series, then you've got something to gripe about. But he made the moves and you got the hardware. So it's called collateral damage. The bottom line is that you achieved the goal. If he doesn't win the World Series, then you can be angry. But you can't be angry when he achieved the goal.
Not only did you win the World Series, Joe, but the next year you went right back to the National League Championship Series.
But
you were there 3 years in a row.
But we fell short.
Okay, so first of all, then you not replacing Dexter Fowler. Who's that fall on? That's not on Jed Hoyer. That's on Theo. That's on Theo. And so if you're able to make that and find a replacement for which you guys thought you had, you thought Ian Happ was going to be the dude. Ian Happ hit what was it, 3 home runs? Opening day a couple of years ago, and they're like, "Oh, we got our guy Ian Happ." Well, he wasn't that dude. So,
but
that shows you how difficult it is because at one point you thought he was the dude. You thought Ian Happ was a dude.
I didn't think he was.
Well, to be honest, Ian Happ has been better. He's taken a leap after he's had his sending down is coming up, and there was a whole lot of I guess. I don't know, something going on with him in the locker room, like emotionally or whatever they had to deal with, that they had to send him down. And then when they brought him back up, Ian Happ has been nothing but a team player, and he's excelled. But my thing is that you had Theo go ahead and he had to risk it for the biscuit in 17 and beyond, but he made mistakes at where he wanted to invest his money in free agency. That was his decisions.
Show me a GM who's never made no mistakes.
But he did not want to overspend for replacements. He wanted to watch his development.
Somewhere else?
No. Listen to me, Ivan. What I'm saying is that we lost Dexter Fowler. We lost Jake Arrieta. We lost. You see what I mean? Do I need to keep going down the line? Who we lost? Just imagine we had Gleyber Torres at second base, Javi at shortstop. We would have put Eloy in that outfield. Just imagine.
You were going with Addison Russell, and you already knew that Gleyber Torres, not knowing what Gleyber Torres was going to be a bargaining chip to get a solid closer to shut down the back end for the World Series run. That's collateral damage. That's take Gleyber Torres and give me the trophy. My thing is free agency with Theo. He missed in free agency, and that cost us.
Hey, listen, we'll take a break.
We've never been in this.
Hold your point. We'll get right back to more top of the morning topics. We got to take a quick break. So, and calm down. Woo.
Calm down.
Hey, Maya, this is good. Like, we're out of this, and Cub fans are just going at it. I love it.
Right, I'm like, well, let's go with them arguing.
Y'all love this.
See, there you gotta go. You and that.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. Cubs president of baseball operations Theo Epstein has stepped down from his role. Speaking to reporters, Epstein said he achieved everything he set out to.
9 years ago, we set a couple of goals. The first was to build a foundation for sustained success that would allow us to get into the playoffs on a regular basis. And the second was over time and together to build a team that could win a world championship for the Cubs. It has not been perfect. It's baseball. So by definition, it's never going to be perfect, but we've accomplished those goals together.
Nick Foles could be available for the Bears when they come back from the bye. Head coach Matt Nagy said a hip and glute injury to the quarterback doesn't seem as serious as it appeared when he was carted off the field Monday night. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Javier's Auto Body is colliding with a shortage of licensed techs.
That 2017 is waiting on a clear coat, that 09 needs its left rear sanded, pounded, and painted, and the guy over there is waiting on an estimate.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms could mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away, by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. We are smack dab in the middle of our first segment. It is the top of the morning.
My mother
segment.
is having this odd Mandalorian moment. Okay, mother. Okay, here you go.
No.
Here you go, mother. Here you go. My mom bought this for me. Yeah. So here you go. Yeah, Big Pops. Me and the child. Yes. And see, he's all masked up and everything too.
All masked up.
There you go, mother. There you go. Are you happy now? Okay. I have more strange memorabilia than people realize, like Star Wars stuff. Like I have a BB-8, and people are like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "I am a fan," but you do realize I've never bought any of this stuff. It's my mother.
So your mother buys it for you?
Yes, all this cat stuff. I didn't buy this cup. All this stuff I have, my mother buys it, and I'm like, and people think I'm fanatical. I'm like, yeah, it's really my mother. Only child. I'm not gonna complain though. I've reaped the benefits of that. So hey,
I got you. Same here. I'm only child, so I get it. And you're a very intelligent woman. So so what happens? I'm sure. When you did good in school, they did things for you. When you did good in sports, and you did things, and that's how it was. And everyone thought I was. Oh, you got everything. Oh, well, damn, I got that damn near the 4.0 GPA, and I'm gonna start running back on the grammar school and high school team. What else can I mean, it's pay to play. You know how it is.
That's you reward children when they do good things because that's their form of working. It's motivation, so to speak.
It's life.
It's called merits.
It is. I've always when people just give their kids things randomly and they don't make them earn anything, and they wonder why they're like a hot mess.
Right. It's called working for something. Working for something. That's right.
Armando Lara said, "I'm the only child of 7." Armando, in the theater of your mind, there's no way there were 7 of you.
There were no. He's one of 7 kids, and he's actually an oops baby. He's the youngest. I want to say 5 or 6 years.
Oh,
so he's like the youngest.
Oh, so because he was so much later, it was like, okay, I see. It was like being an only child. So are you trying to say you were your parents' favorite? Don't say that. Don't answer that. Don't answer that.
Hey guys, can I ask y'all a question?
Yeah, what's up?
Y'all remember back in the days when if you go to those old school, neighborhood stores, and you buy this nice TV, expensive, and they put it in a box, and then you open up the box and there's bricks in it. Y'all remember that?
No, it didn't happen over here.
Oh, it never happened. Okay. Well, that's what happened to the Cubs. You know, like that's what happened to the Cubs.
Come on, man. Why are you like this? Why are you like you do know you won the World Series, right?
Yeah, but we supposed to win.
Sure. But did you win one?
We supposed to win multiple World Series.
Did you win one?
Joseph, that's where we were together on this. Like
I don't disagree.
We should have won multiple. But
I don't disagree with that.
Theo's lack of I mean, it was not lack of anything. He just made the wrong choices in who he picked. He invested too much money in the wrong guys.
Wait.
Like Brandon Morrow.
But you still have to accept the fact, and this is where Cub fans, you guys get tunnel vision. The rest of the MLB caught up to you and could play at that level. You can't assume because, and see, that's when people get so locked into their teams and thinking we're so good. Okay, I hate to tell you this. If you watch a lot of other baseball, and I do, you can see like next year is going to be amazing for baseball. Mm-hmm. There are so many good teams. The rest of baseball caught up to the Cubs. Just the bottom line.
You can't assume that other teams aren't getting better. You can't assume that other teams don't draft well. You can't assume that other teams don't get stud Cuban players or stud Dominican players or stud. You can't assume that when you're as a meathead fan, you're like, oh, our team is great. Trust me, we know the White Sox are going to be good, but it doesn't stop us from realizing that the Atlanta Braves are great. It doesn't stop us from realizing that the Los Angeles Dodgers are good. It doesn't stop us from realizing that. So that's what she's saying. Like you can't just say that Theo made all the wrong mistakes.
No, he didn't.
Other teams got better.
Sean, we're not saying that, and we're not that dumb as fans. We know what's going on.
But you might be.
No, but we're not. There's some Cubs fans that are meatheads, and then there's some Cubs fans with high IQs. Me and Ivan are one of the.
No. Joseph, remember they didn't need a third starter.
Right.
Okay, here's my thing. I'm not saying that, and see, here's the thing. I respect Theo. I'm not saying that he didn't make every decision you make is not always right.
Show me a GM who's made 100% correct decisions. Come on, nobody.
I loved what he did. You know, it's
World Series decisions are correct to me.
I love everything Theo did. It's just the fact that we got ganked. Okay, I just don't like the fact that they snatched our future away from us by hardballing us, and that should be a penalty.
Joseph, you're being a little too soft right now.
Yeah, you're being a little Sally over there.
You're being a little too soft. Because I'm gonna tell you something. When it comes to wheeling and dealing, it's all about who can get the best deal out of it. And if it turns out I get the best deal, I dealt you something. And yes, Quintana maybe
gave us a box of bricks.
But at the end of the day, guess what? You still accomplished the goal. Now,
so let me ask you a question then. Joseph. Okay, would you do the same? Would you give up Gleyber Torres again?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so then stop bitching. Secondly, if Jose Quintana had pitched the way he pitched here on the South Side, okay, and he kept losing 1-0, 2-1, 3-1. You know what I mean? Giving up just like minimum runs, but he had no support. If you were able to go on and win a World Series with him, would you do it again?
You guys mentally damaged. Mentally damaged Quintana because he was so used to pitching from behind that when he actually had a lead, he didn't even know what to do when he came to us.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, now he's making an excuse. Well, I'll tell you what, Chris Sale didn't have that problem. So I'm sorry that he had a weak constitution mentally. Not my problem.
It's y'all fault. It's y'all fault.
It ain't my fault.
Did I do that?
My fault.
Did I do that?
No.
I got to go with that little side.
All right. I'm going to say this. At least he left the team in the hands of Jeb Hoyer. So here's the thing I think is important with that transition, that you're not getting somebody stepping in and like you're not starting from scratch. So at least the philosophy and where you need to go is still there. And obviously, Jeb left. Wasn't the Padres? He went to the Padres. He left the Padres to come to Chicago with Theo. So my thing is, you're staying within the vein of what their philosophy is, and I think that piece is key. I still think it's a good team, but I think there are some team morale issues that have to be worked out. This is a very talented team, but I think within the clubhouse there is some dissension. They're not playing at the level that we know they can play. Now and that got blamed on Madden. Like, the Madden effect wasn't good anymore. So you go out and get, David Ross, who I think relatively had a decent, season as a first manager period. The thing is that enough to turn this team around mentally? Because to me, Joe, mentally and emotionally, I didn't see the same team I had seen in the past.
And like you said, team make adjustments. And I think Cal Schwarber is Cal Schwarber. He's a high strikeout guy.
Somebody you probably should trade.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like these guys, like Theo did the right thing. He sentimentally held on to his guys. He didn't trade them because he could have traded them. He sentimentally held on to his core guys, and he stuck with them. And now that he stepped down, he's not going to be responsible for trading Chris Bryant. Jed Hoyer is going to have to do it now. So Theo did the right thing. He left at the right time. Smart move by Theo.
Oh, yes.
God bless him, and I hope he does well at the next level.
All right.
Well, listen, the next top of the morning topic, the New Orleans Pelicans have traded Drew Holiday to the Milwaukee Bucks. You want to talk about getting fleeced? Let's talk about getting fleeced for Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, and 3 first-round picks. In addition to the 3 first-round picks, there are also some swaps as well. So where the Bucks can trade with New Orleans, they can swap draft picks as well. So you want to talk about getting fleeced? That's a fleece job. Okay, that's a fleece job. And I'll tell you what, they want to pair Drew Holiday with the Greek Freak, and I see it. And you know what? Milwaukee was willing to give up a whole bunch of stuff. I think a little more than I would have given up. But then again, I'm not the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks.
I'll tell you what. If I'm honest, I'm not liking this. You're giving up draft picks, a chance for us to be able to build.
What side don't you like it from? Because one side like it.
No, I'm saying from Milwaukee. I mean, I just that was too much to give up because you really need more pieces, and there's some good stuff in the draft. I'm like not liking it enough. I told you, if I'm honest, I'm looking like. Remember, his comment was, "I'm staying here based upon what I see them do." Well, now I'm looking at them saying, "This doesn't make a lot of sense." Nice to meet you, Mr. Holiday, but no. Now, in regards to the Pelicans, on the flip side.
Man, they're happy to pick a slot, boy. That's the Rick Hahn school of negotiating.
This is that example of they got it. They gave it to them. But here's the thing. No one makes you agree to that deal. That's the thing. I was like, what are you thinking? I mean, yeah, that's
hardball. It's hardball negotiation. It's just like how you guys are feeling like they've been fleeced. That's how the Cubs felt too, the same way. So my whole thing is the Greek Freak is out of here.
Hey, but you know what? They gotta, yeah.
And Milwaukee is going back to the small market team that it was. I like the fact that it is their uniforms. Yeah, that it is right. I like the fact that they changed their uniforms to the little creamy style. So at the end of the day, I don't think that's enough to keep the Greek Freak around.
It wouldn't be enough for me. Well, and let's be honest, he knows his value. I mean, he kind of sees the model that's happening around the NBA. You literally need that 1-2 punch, and he doesn't have that 1-2 punch with him. So he knows that, to me, the writing's on the wall, and Milwaukee overcommitted to something. Getting great. I mean, here's the thing. Draft picks are great, but you never know if they're going to materialize into that same type of player in the pros. That's a gamble. So for them to put that much out there, I was like, well, what do you No.
Yeah. Giving up that much. And then I think there's also 2 years of swaps as well, where they can swap positions, draft positions. That's a lot, man. That's a whole bunch. And you know what? And sometimes you see some things like this, and you look at it, and you just have to say, what in God's name were you thinking? What the hell were you thinking?
This is what LeBron James did to the NBA. Okay. It was an article, and I'm just going to share this with you. This is off the record stuff. There was an article done on LeBron James 11 years ago, and he said to the media, he was like, "Hey, all I want is 6 teams in the NBA, all big market teams, where all the top guys are playing on each other's teams. Let's eliminate the small market teams, and the way we do that is by taking all of these stars and teaming up with each other to make the league more competitive." When I saw that, I was like, "This dude is a."
You need to find that article again.
I'll send it to you. Well,
no, I mean, was it never published?
No, it was published.
Oh, then we need to repost that, because that's a very interesting thing to say.
People blindly ignore I don't know what's going on, but people blindly ignore the things that LeBron James do. This guy's been cheating from day one.
Well, he's not cheating, but you know what? He's another person who's a mastermind.
He's very, very.
He's going to do things outside of basketball.
That is not a mastermind joining forces with a superpower team. It's nothing special.
No, it's what he said 11 years ago is coming to fruition, is what I'm saying, Joe.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm lobbying for bring back the Seattle SuperSonics. But anyways,
right.
With their logo, with that old school logo.
With that logo. But what I'm saying is, he said that 11 years ago, and look how it's come into fruition. That's vision. That's why I said he's a mastermind.
No, he's carrying the league on his shoulders. And he took the coward way out.
How so?
Michael always have to call him out.
You know what? I think you PMSing today because you just hating on everybody. You're hating on everybody, Joe. Here's the thing. Nobody handed LeBron. Now let's talk about pure skill set. Even if you hate LeBron, you must respect his game. There are very few players who go from high school to the pros and their talent equals. Him and Kobe equaled everything, the hype that came with them. Nobody hands LeBron a championship. Nobody does.
Yeah, they do.
What?
Every year they do it, too. Every year.
So if it's every year, then he'd have a title every year. He's only got
he gets to the finals almost every year. They try to give it to him almost every year.
But you're saying everybody else just lays down and takes it with no Vaseline to give LeBron?
Exactly. That's why the league.
Come on, Joseph.
That's why the league is so.
You're still on a birthday hat.
No,
yeah.
This is my honest opinion about LeBron.
We know it is.
He's a coward. He's a coward.
How is he a coward?
He runs away from the competition. He likes to stack his team. He loves to stack his team, and people ignore it. Like, oh, he's a genius.
I'll make you a question. So, now who? Okay, so technically, the Celtics were the first to do like the big three concept. LeBron wasn't part of the big three. He became part of a big three, a little bit more than three, when he went down to Miami. But it was the Celtics that were the first to stack it.
The Celtics did not collude with players.
Oh no!
Calling them up on the phone.
But see, wait, Joe. You don't know that. You don't know. You don't know that. You don't know. You don't know that Paul Pierce.
No, you don't. Now you're a reporter. You're supposed to deal in facts. There's no way you can tell me unequivocally.
The only collusion.
You don't think anybody from the Celtics called somebody to say, "Hey, come play with me." If that's the case, then you've got people's phones wiretapped, and you've got sources that I don't know about.
The only collusion that took place with the Celtics is Danny Ainge and Kevin McHale. Okay, and the only reason why that KG trade was made because Danny Ainge and Kevin McHale was former teammates. The reason why they got Ray Allen because the Seattle SuperSonics folded. Okay, that's how they got him. So don't try to make it look like that. Oh, Danny Ainge was like, oh yeah, I'm going to snatch Ray Allen. I'm going to snatch KG. No, it didn't happen like that. It just so happened that it
just happened to fall into it. So fate just aligned the stars in Boston. They weren't assessing talent to say, if we put this together, this is going to be hot. Come on, man.
LeBron James was going to people's houses begging people, please save my legacy. Save my legacy. I want to catch Michael Jordan. I need you to play with me because I can't carry anybody. They keep beating me up. He's a little coward. That's all he is.
He's very flawed. Very flawed. You know what? You're clouding the judgment to the fact that you don't like him as a person, and you're not looking at his sheer ability. And that's to me that's unfortunate.
He took a shortcut. He cheated. Okay.
Well, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
So you know what? That's not right.
You complain about people playing hardball and getting their job done. You complain about things that make the world turn. So you know what? We need to gristle you up because you know what? That's not how.
There he is, right there. There he is. That's the guy I know. That's the LeBron James I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Come on. I was never a big LeBron James fan, but you got to respect the dude's talent, bro. Jesus.
According to Joe, he has no talent. He has no talent. The guy came into the league with a Cavaliers team, by the way, that was never ever stocked and was making the playoffs right out the gates, playing against NBA talent. He wasn't a boy among men. He stepped in the gates playing hard. You got to respect.
The East was weak. The East was like a college league when he came into the league, and he struggled to average 19 points a game, and then the year supposed to went to Carmelo Anthony.
So you're saying he struggled to average 19 points a game, as an 18-year-old kid playing against grown-ass men.
Oh, you were just saying, the argument was just made that LeBron James' skill set was that match of the men that you're speaking of.
Right. You can't have your kid.
You can't have a both.
His skill. Listen, you can have the skill set. Okay, you can have the skill set. It doesn't mean that your skills are honed. You can have all that ability.
He didn't play in college. He actually came.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
No one's fault.
It's actually no one. My point, Joe.
But let
me ask you a question, Joe. Coming out of high school, could you write to the level that you write now?
Coming out of high school, heck no. Heck no.
Then I'm done. I rest my case.
But I'm not gonna take no shortcut to get to where I'm at.
He didn't take any shortcuts.
What shortcut did he take? You may not have liked the fact that he partnered, but that was legal. That was not collusion. It was not illegal. As much as you don't like it, as much as I don't like it, it was not illegal to talk to other free agents and say, "Hey, come and ball with me." That was not illegal.
When they lost to Puerto Rico in 2004, Carlos Arroyo gave them the business, and I'll never forget this game.
So you're one game.
You're being biased. Quiet down.
Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and who else? Chris Paul was all on that team USA, and Chris Bosh too, the crybaby. He was on that team.
He's a crybaby.
They were like, "Hey man, we can't beat nobody. So let's join forces with each other once our contract."
Okay,
is that illegal?
It's not illegal, but Joe, here's
is it illegal?
But you also understand, Joe,
you destroy other organizations doing that.
You're just being
illegal organization by lying to them and saying that, "Oh, you guys have a chance," when you knew where you were going all along.
Oh no, all the Puerto Ricans are coming out. All the Puerto Ricans are coming out now.
And then he lost to another Puerto Rican and JJ Barrera.
Yeah. Puerto Rica.
Anyways, scrap all that. Team Cuba. Now, how about that? Quiet down, boys. Quiet down. Anyway,
sit down and watch an organization win more than one World Series when they're supposed to.
And Joe, I will tell you this: I don't necessarily care for the idea of forming super teams. I'm that 80s, 90s NBA type person, but unfortunately, this generation of players, this is their mind. It isn't like LeBron who just thinks like this. It isn't. Honestly, it's not. This current league, this is how they think. Whereas the Jordans and the Magics and the Birds, they wanted to play each other.
They didn't beat everybody.
They didn't want to be on the same team. There's a shift in the NBA culture, and it isn't just LeBron who thinks like this. It's just the way they think they should do things. I don't particularly care for it, but this is where the NBA has trended. And it only stops when you have who's running your league doesn't let it happen. Remember when they would not let Chris Paul go to the Lakers? I mean, there was a time they said, "Oh, no," because we realized that's putting too much power in place. It's incumbent, because LeBron, you can call anybody you want, but at that upper management level, the commissioner can stop this stuff from happening. When he sees his small market teams dying, it's incumbent upon the commissioner to stop that from happening. So the NBA leadership, to me, has always been a little soft, so to speak. They've allowed a whole lot of things happen over the last 20 years that's not good for the NBA.
Because they worship LeBron James. He is the blame for all of this foolishness. I can't even watch 4 quarters of basketball. I got to go to a high school game to watch real basketball because of this WWE reject. I'm tired of him. I can't wait till he retires. I'm tired of him mentioning Michael Jordan's name. I'm just done with the whole, especially after this fake asterisk championship he just won a month ago. I'm done with the NBA. I'm done with it.
All righty, Joe.
Okay. Well, we know how you feel now.
Sorry, I just needed to get.
Hopefully,
I hope you got it off your chest.
Hope your cramps have eased up a little today.
I will email you a bill. And we'll go from there. No. Oh, hey, the draft is tonight, so hey, maybe we'll get a new round of players that want to play real basketball. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a little. Wow, Joseph, you're on one today, boss. I tell you, you're on one today. That's crazy.
LeBron James. I'm sorry.
We couldn't tell. Wow. Next time, get off the fence, dude.
And he keeps getting away with it, man. Like every year, he gets away with it. Every year, the same stuff.
I'm pretty sure if you talk to the likes of James Harden and Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, I don't think they would agree with you in this conversation, because what you're trying to say is players like that aren't playing, and I think they would totally disagree with you.
But I'm saying that you get to get Anthony Davis. Come on now.
I mean,
then the NBA give you a 4th round pick. Then the NBA hires your former GM to run the New Orleans Pelicans so that they can trade Anthony Davis to you. That's
Could you imagine Chris Paul and Kobe? Are you serious? Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that?
Well, no, they didn't want you. They
would have been championship. Another run.
They didn't want you.
Kobe's career.
They didn't want you to imagine that. Like I said, it isn't just all about LeBron. It's just not. Overall, you talk about GMs and like the Lakers, again, the Lakers are the golden team of the NBA. They're that and the Celtics. And I think the Lakers are probably a bit more favored, to tell you the truth. There are certain teams in every sport that historically, like the Yankees, that just get favor. They get favor. So it is what it is, and I'm like, don't get me wrong. I like Anthony Davis, but I want to whisper in his ear, can you please play like a big man and get your ass off the arc? Don't get me wrong. Anthony Davis is good, but he can be better.
And you know what, Maya, we were talking about this the other day. We're hoping that the shift changes, because everything it happens in cycles. And we're hoping that in the next couple of years that there's actually big men who play with their back to the basket, who play in and around, 6 to 8 feet from the rim, and who dominate a game that way. Mm-hmm. And those are the things that I want to see. Anthony Davis, you're gonna have to hit the weight room. You're gonna have to, and maybe not even as crazy like Karl Malone, but man,
Embiid, all of them.
All those guys, yeah.
It's been this you know what it is? It's an infiltration, and this is something else, of European basketball into the NBA. All of a sudden, our big men see big men come out of Europe, which, by the way, they've been playing that style of basketball since they were kids.
Years.
Yeah. They are natural ball handlers. They are shooters, because that is some of the fundamentals in the Euro League. And all of a sudden, we got players who've not been playing like this, trying to develop. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to have that in your game, but we kind of like our big men in the post. We like them banging it out. That's just how it is. So don't get me wrong. Anthony Davis, to me, wasn't as strong as a force to be reckoned with like he should have been. I'm sorry.
You know what's missing? Can you imagine Anthony Davis practicing a sky hook? You talk about a damn near unstoppable move. You know what I mean? And it saves your body, it saves your legs, it saves everything. Like, you don't have to bang every, and you just 1, 2 turn, and you just sky hook it. And it's basically, for all intents and purposes, unstoppable.
Quiet but kept big man who never really, because his personality wasn't demonstrative, but his game was. Tim Duncan's a great example of a big guy who knew how to be he was in the post, but he had a shot. He could step out and hit a 3, but his time was spent being a big man. But he didn't overwhelm you with personality. But Tim Duncan, to me, when you talk about the last of things fading out the league, Tim Duncan was probably like your last big man that truly played big man basketball. Seriously.
Why did Shaq call him the big fundamental?
Big fundamentals, that's right. And he learned under one of the best centers to ever play, and that's David Robinson too. So you just gotta, 2 Hall of Famers, work together, and now, they out of the league, and now the league is left into Crybaby's hands, and we gotta watch this stuff for the next 2 or 3, probably 5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. If the PEDs don't stop coming through the mail. So
I'll tell you what, the NBA to me is at a crossroads. You've got players trying to change how the game is played. We saw years ago the true point guard was phased out. You know what I mean? Chris Paul was probably one of the last, him and Rondo, last truly pure point guard. So that position's become hybrid. Now the big men are not playing big men basketball. The NBA has this shift that most of us are 80s, 90s, or before that don't enjoy, because we like traditional basketball. We like those positions because it creates a different type of game. So I know you want to hang all this on LeBron, but this shift was happening before he even before he got to the league. And then this mentality of let's group together. It isn't just him. There's a shift happening here that we don't care for because it's not our kind of basketball.
Hey guys, we got to take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, we're gonna switch gears a little and talk a little more Cubs with our guy Evan Altman. Hey Joseph, thanks, Papa. We appreciate it. I will see you on Friday.
God bless y'all. Peace out.
What articles did you write this week?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. So I'll be doing a feature story on the Bulls, 4th round pick. No, I'm sorry, not 4th round, number 4 pick. And also I'm doing a piece on a kid from Alcorn State. Well, I think Alcorn State. He's one of the top baseball players in HBCU. And then last but not least, I'll be doing the story and a farewell to Theo Epstein stepping down from the Cubs.
Okay. All right. Pretty cool. Good stuff. Then we will see you on Friday. All right.
Right. God bless.
All right, guys. We got to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, our guy, Evan Altman, going to call in and talk. We're going to talk a little Cubs baseball. Wow. I want to see how he feels about it. Big news with the stepping down of Theo Epstein as of tomorrow. As of Friday. So, all right, and the other side of the break, Evan Altman. Don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. Cubs president of baseball operations Theo Epstein has stepped down from his role. Speaking to reporters, Epstein said he achieved everything he set out to.
9 years ago, we set a couple of goals. The first was to build a foundation for sustained success that would allow us to get into the playoffs on a regular basis. And the second was over time and together to build a team that could win a world championship for the Cubs. It has not been perfect. It's baseball. So by definition, it's never going to be perfect, but we've accomplished those goals together.
Nick Foles could be available for the Bears when they come back from the bye. Head coach Matt Nagy said a hip and glute injury to the quarterback doesn't seem as serious as it appeared when he was carted off the field Monday night. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Javier's Auto Body is colliding with a shortage of licensed techs.
That 2017 is waiting on a clear coat. That 09 needs its left rear sanded, pounded, and painted. And the guy over there is waiting on an estimate.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms could mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away, by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago on this Hump Day edition. We just got done with our top of the morning segment. Joe was on today, boy.
That was therapy, man. With Joseph today. That was not top of the morning.
I was like, Joe, you okay, Papa?
On the couch with Joseph, therapy. Yes.
I'm saying.
You know what's weird though? When people, LeBron is a very polarizing personality. When people don't like him, they cannot have any perspective on anything about him.
I can. For a while, that was me. I didn't give a damn what he did. I just hated him because of the decision, and I wouldn't give him credit for anything because of the decision. And it was just me being a d-bag.
I think that's fair to say about a lot of people. But I mean, me to its core. It's what you did on the court and what you did with the decision. For me, that's like it's forever gonna feel it. LeBron is the greatest player in the world right now. But the decision and then not winning that just
okay. But he did actually. He went to Miami and they did win. So
did they win right away? Not one, not two. He went on and he boasted like they were going to go and be this super dynasty for a decade. That was arrogant.
Well, but
Ivan, he won 2 out of 4. He's half his time in Miami. He won a World Series, a world title. Okay, you guys are talking. You're talking about the Cubs. So you're upset. But yeah, it's you got to understand he's pandering to the crowd.
Exactly. Okay, and here's the other thing that makes me laugh about mere mortals. It is so easy for us to be judgmental when we're not under a microscope. LeBron and everybody else lives a different life than we do. And we think it's very charmed because and Michael Jordan went to show you how it's not a charmed life. You learn that about him in The Last Dance, how it isn't as charmed as we think it is. I didn't like the decision. In fact, I didn't like LeBron after that. I was like, that was only because I was like, the way that you left the fans in Cleveland, that's not the way you did it. But he also had an issue with Dan Gilbert, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. I realized there's maturity to it. And he took ownership of his bad decision. And he said, I wish I hadn't done it that way. And he apologized for it.
He did.
My thing is, why are people behaving like we never make bad decisions or make a poor choice that isn't always suitable for everyone, but you can't come back and realize your error in your ways? People need to stop acting like people who are celebrities and athletes don't make poor decisions. They're still human. But for some reason, because we elevate them to status of gods, we assume that their behavior should always be impeccable. They're human.
I don't elevate him to no God status whatsoever. I'm just saying. I can understand certain people, but me, like I said, and I think a lot of people, like Joseph, what you've done on the court for fans, for pure basketball fans, like Joseph is, what you did on the court, what you did, how you portrayed yourself. It's not how you want to go about it, and then you're pretty much demanding that your legacy be solidified as like up in other people's opinion is one of the greats. If other people don't like what you did, your moves, your decision in your career, that is part of your legacy, and that is part of
Yes, it is.
Solidifies you or doesn't solidify you.
It is.
Some people do not think he made the correct basketball decisions, regardless of the great things that.
Well, you know what? He would probably beg to differ because he did. You may not like how he did it, but he did.
Thank you. It's not how. Again, I didn't. Believe me, I didn't like it at all. But
I didn't like it.
You name me somebody else who's won 3 separate teams. Who was the reason they won? We're not talking like Big Shot Ori, like Big Shot Rob, and he was a big reason. But LeBron is the reason they won in Cleveland. LeBron is the reason they won in Miami. LeBron is the reason they won in LA. So for him to go and to be the centerpiece in 3 separate organizations, I mean, you may not like how he did it, but you got to give mad respect to what he did. And again, I'm still not a huge LeBron fan. I'm getting there. Okay, especially with his off the court antics, because of all his off the court, not antics, but his off the court endeavors. Yeah, but I still love Mike, but it doesn't detract from the fact that LeBron is freaking amazing.
And I like the fact that in the midst of controversy, unlike Jordan, who never wanted to be involved in being a public figure, he just wanted to play basketball. LeBron has stepped up and taken his voice and used it where it needed to be said. You know, so you may not like everything about him, but at the end of the day, he's still human. And yes, he probably always wants to be looked at favorably. We all do. We all have things that we wish we could remove from everyone has a legacy. Just some people's legacies are bigger than others. So my thing is so interesting is that his talent level, it isn't hurting the NBA. It's not. Of course he's going to talk about Michael Jordan because everyone talks about Michael Jordan.
Standard.
He's the standard. He's what you aspire to. He's what you want to be. It's like when you hear a lot of young people who want to be into talk radio, or even they'll be like, I want to be the next Oprah, because of what Oprah accomplished is not just being a personality on TV, but the empire that she built. So when someone builds excellence, people want to emulate that. But the thing about it is you should want to not necessarily emulate it as much as also be yourself. They become an example. You don't have to be them. So Michael Jordan became the standard. I mean, Kobe talked about it. He became the standard for everyone. So, I mean, LeBron just polarizes people. And I'm like, he made mistakes. I didn't like him for a minute. I was like, wow, that was ignorant. But he acknowledged it and said he was wrong. So hence, who am I? Let he without sin cast the first stone.
I didn't, if he apologized or whatever, I haven't heard it. I haven't seen it.
He talked about a long time ago how he wished he would have done things different.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. You got an 18-year-old kid who comes into the league. He didn't necessarily, he was immature. He didn't have that structure. Like Kobe had great structure. he was groomed to come into the NBA. He was playing with NBA players when he was in high school because of who his dad was. He was playing against college players because of who his dad was. Kobe lived at home with his parents for several years before he bought a house down the street from them. He had the type of foundation LeBron didn't. LeBron had to worry about his mother sleeping with other NBA players and embarrassing his ass. He had a banner ass from Miami. This guy he didn't have that perfect upbringing. And because of that, people were interested in being in LeBron's life when he was younger because he was talented. He had something they could see. But that doesn't mean people gave him, the thing is, he was actually an honor roll student at the school he went to. So his adversity looks a lot different because you know what? He's not that typical player.
All those things are great though, but it feel like he masked a lot of. He brought in players. He brought in players. He went and like, hey, I need you over here for this. And I get. You need help. But
everyone does.
The way everybody's talking about it, like Kyrie wasn't a major part in them winning one title. But now here you can't help. Ivan, you can't help how other people. I'm doing my show tomorrow about perception and perspective and making sure you understand the difference between the two. LeBron can't help the conversation about what people thought about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving didn't get what it was with LeBron. And he later came out and said, I didn't get playing with LeBron what it was. He's actually the reason that I grew. I developed. He makes other people around him better. He's not selfish. He's learned. His game has so evolved and matured. But when you refuse to see that a person has grown because you're stuck in one moment in time in the past, that's not healthy, Ivan. It's not. I don't think stuck in one moment in time. I just consistently see that it's the same thing.
What is the same thing? What's the same thing?
LeBron, year after year after year. It's all stuff, man.
What's
the same thing?
How can you proclaim yourself the best ever when you added other great talent around other NBA All-Stars, high-level guys? How can you diminish yourselves between, like, you went in and got some of the best players in the world to come play with you, and it doesn't. Do they not make your game look any better? As good as LeBron looks, do they not make his game any better? How come we didn't take, if he makes everybody better? How come we couldn't consistently take Cleveland to the finals after they beat the Golden State Warriors? How come they couldn't win after that? They got swept after that. LeBron is ready to bail for the next best thing, the next shiny toy, similar to Theo Epstein.
Oh, that's where this is coming from.
Wow.
Oh, then it finally comes to the surface. I'm glad we got there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Take deep breaths, Ivan, and have a Zanny, okay?
Yeah, dude. I guess
here it is. Now it comes out. There you go.
What's with Cub fans today, dude? Is everybody in their feelings about Theo? I get you. I get it. I get it. He was like he was your savior. He was your messiah. And he just about all the moves he did. Just about all of the moves he did. Not all. Just about all.
No, just about all to win a World Series were correct. After that, it was trash.
Yeah. Okay. So again, you're gonna give up the World Series. I mean, it's not a science. He told you. Okay. That's the whole thing. He told you. You heard it in the update. It's baseball. It's not perfect. Okay. Give me another GM who's done a good job as him. I mean, dude, your Cubs were in the NLCS 3 years in a row. Who's the last National League championship? Who's the last baseball team to be in the National League or the championship series 3 years in a row? Beside the Cubs.
I am not a fan of runner-ups. Runner-ups don't win trophies. Sorry.
Well, first of all, you have to get to the NLCS in order to get to the World Series. You don't just jump to the World Series. So what I'm saying is it's the opportunity. If you don't make the playoffs, guess what? You can't win the championship. So if you make the playoffs on a consistent basis, well, your chances of winning the championship are much better than the person who does not make the playoffs. Yes or no? I'm not saying.
Obviously, yes, but you're not winning it. You didn't win it. And then on top of that, your decisions have cost your team these last 3 years. Like I said, they diminished. Whatever they were trying to do right then and there, it happened, and it was a blip, and then all of a sudden we're here. We're talking about trading one of our franchise players. Like, we have to decide which one of our core guys we have to just get rid of and hope that we get something good in return back. Like, this is a crucial moment in where the Cubs go, and Theo left at the most crucial time.
What?
I get. I don't know that there ever would be a good time. I mean, if I guess if they go out on top, then you're happy with it. Maybe he felt like he had run his course and it was better to move on.
But that's what he said. He said 10 years, and this is 9. This is year 9. So it's like, what's one extra year? Maybe he just got tired. And you know what? But let's be real. 2016 was a perfect storm of good for everybody on the Cubs. Okay, and then all of a sudden you had Addison Russell. That didn't, that whole scenario. You had the Dexter Fowler situation. Okay, and I'll tell you what, if he was able to, and so don't forget, it's not just him he can't just write blank checks write checks to people. He's got people to answer to. And there's people who say, hey, listen, we didn't want Dexter Fowler. That's not on him. He would have loved to have kept Dexter Fowler because you saw what happened with Dexter Fowler. So he's got bosses. He's not the one. He's not Mr. Ricketts writing the checks. He has limits that he has to abide by.
His decisions cost them to put handcuffs on him. Those are wrong. Those are bad decisions that cost them to throw handcuffs on him. That is his fault.
So explain to me when Chris Bryant wasn't hitting. Explain to me when Javi wasn't hitting. Explain to me when Rizzo wasn't hitting. So these are still things. So when you don't win the World Series, because of you sit there and you talk about these things and you're saying, hey, he didn't do this. He paid too much for this. Paid too much for that. Well, he didn't say, hey, listen, this guy's going to screw up for us. And after my analysis, he's going to screw up. So let me give him the money. No, when it comes down to the players and it comes down to the main core, the Bryants, the Rizzos, the Baez, what's his name, Addison Russell, he was part of that core too. The Schwarbers, the injuries, those are all things that play into this. And it's not his fault.
Decisions, are they not?
Injuries are not his decision.
No, those the personnel that he chose, those are his decisions. And then the players that he went out and freed, those are all his decisions. That's what I'm saying. The decisions that he made after the World Series were not all that great. And now look where we're at. How do we get to this
You don't know that they're not going to be that great. You don't know that they're not. So let me ask you. So Brandon Morrow, when you got Brandon Morrow, were you upset?
Yes, because he was a maybe. He was a Ryan Pace.
There's no such thing as a given. You Darvish, who was a Cy Young Award finalist, he wasn't a given. He was not a given.
Injuries. He got hurt sneezing, or going bending down and pulling over his pants. He was consistently hurt. No. Brandon Morrow was a horrible decision.
Well, guess what? All his bad decisions, he's gone now. So now you don't have to worry about any more poor decisions made by Theo. All you can do is hope that Jeb has his own mind and has a philosophy that I'm not saying he will totally do differently, but he may go a different way. So
we'll see.
And he's left with some of the hard decisions that have to be made. I'll say that.
So I mean, are you mad at him? Are you mad because he gave Chris Bryant more than he should have given him in arbitration? I mean, there's one thing right there. I mean, he didn't have to give Chris Bryant. When he had an arbitration, he said, "Okay, you're scheduled for X $1 million a year." He gave him more every year in arbitration.
But there was a method to the madness behind that.
Oh yeah, because that's a make good. That was a make good.
It was make good. I mean, let's be honest. He came up. His payday was down the road, and because they achieved a World Series earlier, you know what I'm saying? To me, like you said, that was a make good because he wasn't in that position to make that kind of money. He wasn't in that contract situation because technically they owned him because of rookie contracts. So I understand why he paid Bryant the way that he did. I do.
Well, listen, we got a guy who's going to talk to us a little bit about this. He's a huge Cub fan. He is phenomenal writer about the Cubs, and is a good friend of the program. He writes for CubsInsider.com. He's the editor-in-chief over there and a good friend of ours. You can find him on Twitter at @DEvanAltman. Guys, let's bring him out. Evan Altman. Evan, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. There's a lot of disgruntled Cub fans, so hopefully you can get some. I mean, they're taking it out on LeBron, and it's about Theo.
It's everything's LeBron's
Michael.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
LeBron is a singular force who can single-handedly change the course of history, right?
That's what Cub fans think.
Hey, listen, he's won titles in 3 different cities. Maybe if the Cubs go sign LeBron, maybe the Cubs win again.
Stop.
Is that how that works? They can. Hey, Anthony Davis comes over. It's a package deal.
AD
and LeBron. The Bulls and the Cubs. Get them both. Let's go.
And that's Theo's fault. He didn't go after LeBron.
Exactly. That bastard. What was he thinking? Jeez.
So, were you surprised with the announcement yesterday?
The only thing surprising to me is that it didn't come earlier, to be honest. So I, plug my own, we use StreamYard, and I have a show called The Rant where we talk about the Cubs, and we've got a new one for the Bears. But it's maybe a month ago, maybe it was actually at the end of September, and my co-host, John Strong, had said, okay, so you're Theo Epstein, and Tom Ricketts gives you your budget, and he says, you've got to cut it to $150 million. What's your response? And I said, I'll hand in my 2 weeks notice. That was, and I think what we didn't hear, Epstein didn't come right out and say, take this job and shove it. But if you read the letter and you heard kind of his comments, the letter that he had sent out that was published in The Athletic had mentioned that the decisions that are going to have to be made this winter have more long-term effects than just the next few months or even the next season, and that it really required someone who could be in that role for a long time. He also mentioned the financial restrictions that are in place between the pandemic and everything else. And so that tells me really heavily that he was given a very small budget, and they're probably going to have to make some very difficult decisions, many of which involve undoubtedly some of his top draft picks that he's made and these guys that he's groomed throughout his career. And I think that was just something that he would not be able to handle. And like I said, I was kind of surprised that it didn't just happen right at the end of the season when he kind of did his postmortem, and that it took as long as it did. But that's really the only thing surprising to me with a year left, to just be able to turn it over to Jed and say, hey, you got the reins now, man. Take it. Good luck. Yeah.
Love you, buddy. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
So so talk to me, because Ivan's a Cub fan, and we have Joseph Phillips on in our first segment of the show called Top of the Morning, and they feel as if that his decisions after the World Series were not the best. Talk to me about that, because and here's where I see where a lot of Cub fans feel entitled. So once they won the first one, like, well, we should be there every year, after a year of not having, after generations of not winning a World Series, you know what I mean? But now that they got to that point, a lot of Cub fans are upset because of the fact that they only won one World Series, and people still complain about Joe Madden. Madden still almost lost it for us, but he didn't. So talk to me about that. And is his tenure a failure? Because people, Cub fans, let's be honest. Ivan, you can hop in here too. You were thinking like Boston. You were thinking 04, 07, and then what was it 11? I think it was again. Because this was exactly how it went. Was that how you were thinking? And because it didn't turn out like 04, 07, and 11 like Boston, do you consider it a failure?
Are you talking to me or Evan?
Evan.
Oh.
Either way, it's just one vowel separating the two of us, so it's a little bit difficult to judge. But no, I mean, I think people did. If we go back to LeBron, and you sort of feel like the press conference, right? He's like 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, how many rings do you want? And I think people got a little greedy because you saw the shirts, right? And you heard the common phrase was just one before I die, and then you get to one, and you're like, well, I mean, two would be kind of cool. Like, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, why didn't we get 3? We had, but I think, what's interesting though, is you look at the team in Major League Baseball, at least right now, clearly that is the gold standard for, homegrown production and also spending money in a big market. And you talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers, but for all that, they've won just as many World Series titles as the Cubs since 1989. Right. So we could take the last 30 years and the Dodgers maybe overall have a greater body of work if we look at the success. But when you talk about hoisting the trophy, both of them have just as many. And I think it's really difficult when you do win, when that was the goal, is to be consistently competitive. And outside of last year, 2019, the Cubs have made it. They went to 3 straight NLCS. They made it to the playoffs in a weird season this year. It flamed out a little early, but the goal was never to keep winning the World Series year after year, because that's just such a difficult thing to do. There's just such a crapshoot. The goal was.
Can you say that again, Cub fans? Can you say that again, Fro? Because They thought that they're supposed to be there every year.
Right. And that's what it was. When they came in, it's like, hey, we're going to rebuild this. We're going to start from scratch. We're going to tear it down. And we want to have a team that is consistently competitive, that is in the playoffs, that is competing for a World Series, right? That's really, who knows what can happen, right? Like, look at the Padres, right? They had such a great run. Things looked like they were going pretty well. Then you get Mike Clevenger and Dinelson Lamet. Both of them get hurt going into the playoffs. Now your chances are shot. You have two guys, you have two aces, and you're talking about a short series going 3-5 and then on. Two pitchers could carry you all the way through. You lose those guys, it's over. It doesn't matter. So look at what had to happen for the Cubs, right? I mean, Cleveland had a bunch of their guys hurt. There was a lot that went on even inside of that broke the right way. You've got to have, I don't care how good you are, you've got to have a lot of luck going your way. In certain cases, guys being healthy, somebody getting hot. Okay, the Rays, Randy Arozarena. Where the dude?
Who is that dude?
Playing time. You know what gave him more playing time? You know what it was? When the Cubs traded for Jose Martinez, that's what gave Arozarena more playing time. That's specifically why the Rays were able to do it. That dude catches fire the last month of the season, sets all kinds of records in the playoffs. They're in the World Series largely because he just put the team on his back for a series of 15 games or whatever it was. So those things are what can carry you. The Cubs didn't have somebody get hot like that. Look at the Dodgers. Look what Mookie was doing and some of the other guys on the team who were just going, and Corey Seager just going nuts, right? That is what it takes. Again, I don't want to go back to the LeBron thing too heavily, but that is a dude in Cleveland who the first time, look what he did there. A singular player can do that. Baseball is rare with that. During the regular season, you don't see it. But when it comes to the playoffs, one or two players can make all the difference. And so, again, that's what we see. If Javi gets hot, maybe things are a little bit different. But those decisions, right, I think those get overblown. We look at things like this trade or that trade and those anecdotal little things that happen over the course, and we remember this one thing. We forget about the 10 little things that did or didn't happen that could have broken differently that probably would have made a bigger difference.
Guys, we're joined by Evan Altman from CubsInsider.com talking Cubs baseball right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago. So now give me your – go ahead, Maya.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so give me your thought on Jed. You know, he's the man. He's the dude. The one thing that Maya said earlier was they're along the same vein. Like their thought process was the same because they've been together for so long. Where does Jed go from here? You got a young manager who did pretty well, but that was still only 60 games. So now you got a guy in Chris Bryant. Is he disgruntled? Is he not disgruntled? Is it more of a smokescreen? Is he looking? So you have him. You got a guy in Javi. All right, he needs to be resigned. There's a whole bunch of business decisions, and then you brought up a point earlier that I completely forgot today, and that's the payroll is going to be a little thinner this year because we didn't have any fans. How do you anticipate Jed moving forward? Because he is definitely not stepping in. Thank you, COVID-19. He's not stepping into a very welcoming situation as his first guy running the entire program.
Yeah, I think the really interesting and what we've never really seen, like Theo since the day he got there has been the face of the organization. Mm-hmm. He's been the one out front, right? And even though Jed is the general manager, and in most situations, he's been the general manager for 9 years. In most teams, the GM is the guy who's out front, who's got the final call. Unless you're on the south side and the owner gets to decide what they do with everything.
That was a cheap shot, but well deserved.
Yeah,
well deserved.
But yeah, we'll say there we go. But no, what I think is going to be interesting is how does he handle that step into limelight? What we saw with Theo Epstein kind of over the last year, where and this may have been part of him kind of knowing I'm on the way out, but we saw him become a lot more outspoken in terms of his personal beliefs of what he needed to be doing as an individual, not just on the baseball field and what he did with that team, but in terms of equality and social justice matters. Like, he was really out front with a lot of that stuff. We haven't seen as much of that from Jed Hoyer. Is that because he knows he's got to be in this role and kind of get along to go along, or go along to get along? I don't know. But I do think what we're also seeing is that Hoyer's going to have to make some really tough decisions. That's a lot of what Theo Epstein was talking about, right? He said that these things are going to have long-reaching effects. I'm only going to be here for a year. It's really not my place to kind of make these calls. This should be on somebody who's going to have to, not only who's going to have to own it, but the person who's going to be able to make those decisions that follow the main ones. Again, whether that be, do you non-tender Chris Bryant? Do you trade him off for virtually nothing just in order to save money? How do you negotiate some of those things? And I think, Bryant, if we look at that specifically, he'd be more than happy to stay in Chicago. I think he'd actually take a little bit less money to remain there with the Cubs on some kind of an extension, should one be able to get worked out. But, and again, if we bring this sort of full circle, and I'm looking at Ivan's background, so I got to go with that. We look at somebody like an Allen Robinson who, hey, would the Bears love to have him back? Absolutely. But when the cap drops $25 million and the franchise tag is $2 million more than A-Rob's making now, he ain't coming back. And they've already kind of said, we don't really want to extend you. The Cubs haven't given those overtures to Bryant. And while he may be able to take less money from them overall than what he would elsewhere, dude's going to make about $20 million. So it's not like you can go there and say, hey, man, we'll give you $60 million for 5 years. Like, no, he's going to walk and he's going to go find more than that somewhere else. So I think there are some very difficult things that we're going to see right away. Actually, let me walk that back. We're not going to see right away. Immediately, I think Hoyer's decisions are going to have to be based on the finances and the budget he's given. What we're really going to start seeing is after next year, how do they start to fill those gaps? How do they start to reallocate some of that? And what happens with development? Because everybody who's watched this team for a while knows darn well they've not developed a single pitcher yet who's been consistent for them. Edbert Alzolay is the closest, and that still ain't there yet. So that's going to be, how does he affect that? How does he bring those prospects up, and what happens there?
And Evan, speaking of the pitching, that's probably the most frustrating part to me of how the team is left, because now it's like, where do we go from here? Do we just attack free agency to find some pitching? I don't necessarily want to do that. I want you to find some pitchers and develop them. It just seems to me that the Cubs right now are in a position to either blow it and now you're in the hole for the next 5 years, or be up for the next 5 years. I think really, and they've been talking about going ahead and getting rid of somebody from the core. Somebody from the core might have to go. Why not go ahead and do that to replenish said pitching, some of the farm system? Why not make that? I feel like that decision will be beneficial to the Cubs more than trying to keep a core guy and then risking it again next year to do the same thing that we did the past two seasons. I feel like going after it and maybe a mini reset, not necessarily a full-blown reset, but a mini reset to find, to reload will be necessary. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, this year, and that's what's so difficult to to speculate or to even look around, because what we're going to see, right, the Cubs have probably 7 guys who are borderline for getting a contract tendered to them, who are in their arbitration years. I think we see 5 of those guys let go. Kyle Schwarber and Chris Bryant are the 2 that, again, is difficult to really make that call there. But what we're going to see, so last season there were 53 players who were non-tendered by their teams. We're probably going to see that record. That was a record. We're probably going to see that smashed. And so it's entirely possible they'll be able to go out there and find some guys. You look at someone like even a Corey Kluber, who didn't have his contract option picked up, right? He's a free agent. Does he command a little bit less money as things go on? Can you pick up some guys? Because we're going to see a lot of players looking for one-year deals, right? Because it's a garbage market. They're going to want to try to stick it out the next year. You don't want to sign a long-term deal right now when the market is at its lowest. You want to kind of get that pillow contract. Scott Boras has even said those things are probably coming. However, the Cubs are in this weird situation, right, to where they want to keep their overall payroll low, and they don't want to go anywhere near the luxury tax. We know that. And so you might even see some 2-year deals that are a little bit backloaded. We saw that, speaking of Mike Clevenger, who is going to have Tommy John surgery, but still got a 2-year deal. But if you look at that, the reason the Padres did it was he's only going to make $2 million next year, and then something like $6 million the next in 2022. And there's a what do you call it? A signing bonus. That's what they are. They're split between the two. And so they were able to backload that, so their actual payroll obligation is much lower in 2021. You may see some really similar things where the Cubs are going after depth, taking maybe some slight risks on a few guys who maybe they hope can bounce back and say, well, hey, we'll give you a little bit now. You make it into next year, right? Things expand a little bit. Theo mentioned this last month, said we will have to go find pitching depth in free agency. starting pitching depth, right? They're losing a bunch of starters. They don't have enough young guys ready to come up. But if they can do that the right way, buy themselves maybe 1 year of time, they've got a lot of pitchers who are about to be coming up.
Guys, he's Evan Altman from CubsInsider.com. Hey, great stuff, buddy. Do me a favor, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Absolutely. So you can check it out, CubsInsider.com, as you mentioned. You can check us out also at I've actually got some stuff going at BearsInsider.com right now. That just opened up. But if you aren't much of a reader, if you want to go out and check us out on Facebook or on YouTube, you can find our videos there for a show called The Rant Live that we do a weekly webcast and podcast. So wherever you get your podcast, just go search for The Rant Live, and you can hear me yelling about things and maybe being a little bit more NSFW than I typically am here in my writing.
Hey, great stuff, buddy. I'm glad to have you. And actually, we got one of your guys coming in after you. Louis Medina's coming up. He's going to talk a little Bears with us. So,
oh, Big Lou. Let him know I said hi.
Hey, thanks a lot, buddy. Man, I wish we could have had you for an hour.
It's all good.
All right,
maybe next time.
All right, we'll be in touch soon.
All right, take care, guys.
All right, thanks. Guys, we got to take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, we got our guy Louis Medina. He's in the green room, our virtual green room, ready to roll. We're going to talk a little Bears football with him. We might even talk a little Bulls because Louis is that versatile. I love it. So don't go anywhere, folks. Louis Medina, Funky Cole Medina, coming up next right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. Cubs president of baseball operations Theo Epstein has stepped down from his role. Speaking to reporters, Epstein said he achieved everything he set out to.
9 years ago, we set a couple of goals. The first was to build a foundation for sustained success that would allow us to get into the playoffs on a regular basis. And the second was over time and together to build a team that could win a world championship for the Cubs. It has not been perfect. It's baseball. So by definition, it's never going to be perfect, but we've accomplished those goals together.
Nick Foles could be available for the Bears when they come back from the bye. Head coach Matt Nagy said a hip and glute injury to the quarterback doesn't seem as serious as it appeared when he was carted off the field Monday night. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Javier's Auto Body is colliding with a shortage of licensed techs.
That 2017 is waiting on a clear coat, that 09 needs its left rear sanded, pounded, and painted, and the guy over there is waiting on an estimate.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms could mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away, by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Done it before. Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series. Bryant makes the play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it all. 8-7-10.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. That clip courtesy of Fox. I don't know why he played it again, but ni modo. Anyway.
But you know, it's interesting. I feel like there's a channeling of feeling like you may not have that happen for a while. Like it's a memory lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ivan, are you channeling that you feel like?
You're absolutely correct. No, like look at my whole, and I'm gonna end it like this because I don't want to be upset the whole day.
It's not over. It's never over.
I'm not upset.
It's over, so we decide it is.
Exactly.
but my thing is that you had a window and they were shocked that the window opened up quickly, and then like you said, it slammed shut quickly. So my thing is that you got there, you were there. You should have known, hey man, we got to make sure we can get there because you're not going to win it every year. The Royals got there back-to-back years. I felt like we should have gotten there back-to-back years, and some of the decisions he made didn't put us there. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Well,
let's look. Okay, the next person to talk them off the ledge.
And he's going to be talking Bears and maybe Bulls. So we're not even going to have our guy talk Ivan off the ledge. So two Puerto Rican cats can't even help each other out. Well, listen, our next guest is he writes for Bleacher Nation. He's very versatile. I love it. He's going to talk some Bears with us and maybe a little Bulls if he's got some time. You can find him on Twitter at LCM1986. Guys, just welcome back to Shawn and Maya, good friend of the program, Luis Medina. Funky, Cole Medina. What's up, Papa? How are you?
Good morning, friends. How are you? I'm doing great.
I think Ivan needs to see your shirt. Put the camera down on your shirt a little more.
I don't have another 108 years.
That's right. Please. Oh, God. Please.
You know what? But here's what I think it is. Chicago is in a really funky sports mode right now. We saw this happening with the Blackhawks. We saw that decline happening. It was hard. Everybody in Chicago generally is a Bears fan. And there was high hopes. And it's not materializing like people thought for the Bears. So I think there's a lot of angst right now because you have to look to the South Side right about now if you want any form of pleasure.
And then even we had to screw that up.
Right.
Thanks, Russo.
Right. Nobody happy right now.
So
let's talk about this Bears team, man. They had a wonderful performance yesterday of crapping themselves on national TV on Monday Night Football. Thank you very much.
I almost wear my Viking stuff today. You know that, right?
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to. I was wondering. That's their side team, Lewis, is the Vikings.
Oh no, but I was out the other day on that one. I was like, you know what? I was like, you're not the side today. I'm going to actually take you out around friends. So, no.
Wow.
I was wearing
how hard it is to take the Vikings around friends.
I had my Viking stuff on. Yes. So I'm like, tonight we're going to be out together. Yes, we're going to be seen. We were seen, and they showed up good. Not great, but enough.
Yeah, that's because the Bears really didn't show up, which is a real shame because like that was your statement game. You got your new offensive coordinator, play caller. You got all the history of Kirk Cousins screwing up Monday night working in your favor. You got turnovers. You were at home, and you didn't do enough to win the game. You should have won, and now everything's on the table. And Matt Nagy yesterday talking about everything's on the table. I hope he realizes what he's saying when he says everything's on the table because we're about to travel a slippery slope here.
Okay, well, first of all, it doesn't get better. I mean, you got to buy, which is necessary. But then when you come out of it, the one team that is a source of angst for all Bears fans, that's your game. So when he says everything's on the table, my first question is, why was it never all on the table? But what does that mean? Like, what is on the table?
Well, we start with the quarterback. There's a non-zero chance that Mitchell Trubisky starts on Sunday Night Football, assuming NBC doesn't flex that out. Look, if Nick Foles looked hurt, and I know Matt Nagy was optimistic yesterday, but man, that guy got driven hard, not just on that play, but on multiple plays. And that guy's never played a 16-game season, so you wonder how his body is holding up. Now you might have to turn to Mitch, who has a bad shoulder again. But even if Foles is healthy, if Foles and Trubisky are healthy, you might as well just go back to Mitch just for an experimental mode. We know Mitch ain't the answer. We know Foles ain't the answer. But you can save some money by not playing Foles because he wouldn't hit his incentives, his playing time incentives. And frankly, I don't think he deserves to hit those right now with the way he's playing. So you might as well go to Mitch and take us all out of our misery.
I'm okay with going back to Mitch, and here's why: is he offers one aspect that this Nick Foles doesn't have, and that's the ability to run. That's the ability to run. And if you're trying to win, if you're Matt Nagy and you're trying to save your job, you better pull out all the stops. And the funny part about it is we had a clip from Dan Orlovsky on Get Up from ESPN, and this is the same thing we've been saying here. He talked about how Matt Nagy refused to mold the offense or do things that are good for Mitch. So now he has his quarterback, and now that offense is not working. And when you do that, like it seems almost as if he kind of self-sabotaged Mitch, by not putting him in good positions, doing the things that he does well. Okay, again, I never thought Mitch is going to be a Hall of Famer, but he does have some talent, so cultivate it. And I think Matt Nagy is really feeling the heat now because he doesn't want to go back to Mitch, but Mitch gives him the best chance because he has the ability to run, keep the chains moving. Unlike Nick Foles, who decided to throw an interception every other quarter, and he's stuck in a rock in a hard place with Mitch and Nick.
Oh, it's even worse than that if you think about it like deeply. I was watching some old film from last year, and I recognized, this is a couple weeks ago, I recognized how teams were defending Mitch differently, or defending the Bears offense differently, knowing that Mitch was a threat to run. So Foles isn't a threat to run, so you don't have to defend against that. That's why I see all these running lanes, and I want him to run, but I'm like, he can't run. Like he can't move. He's that meme I made of Joe Biden trying to run up the stage. He just can't do it.
Run, Forrest. That's what it's like.
But when Mitch gets in, defense got to be like, all right, cool. Well, we have to account for this. And defenses did a really good job of kind of plugging holes that Mitch could run through. And then they forced him to throw. So it's like, it's the real rock in the hard place is the guy who can run but can't really read a defense, or the guy who can't run, and when he reads the defense, he makes a 50-50 throw. It's a no-win situation, which brings me to something that's been bugging me the last couple of days. Like, does George McCaskey see this and say, all right, everything is on the table, Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, and that means jobs? Because that's a fair question to ask.
Oh, it's a legitimate question to ask. Hey, we got the clip of from Dan Orlovsky. Let's check it out real quick. This is from ESPN's Get Up.
Yeah, and listen, it's very important for everyone to understand. There's a big difference between being a coach and being a teacher. A coach that cannot teach is a failure. A coach that doesn't know how to build relationships with their players is a failure. A coach that doesn't know how to communicate with their players is a failure. A coach that cannot adapt or change their scheme to the type of talent that they have is a failure. And right now, Matt Nagy in Chicago is a failure. He can't do any of that stuff in Chicago. Stop. This is the offense that you wanted to run. This is the offense that you wanted to run from Kansas City. It's not working. You don't know how to adjust to the talent that you have. I said it all the time on Chicago radio last year. Fit your offense to Mitchell Trubisky. Well, you didn't want to. So you went and got Nick Foles. And now you don't have an offense that will work for Nick Foles. This is like a marriage. When you try to change your spouse to exactly what you want, it's going to end up bad. And you're trying to change all your players to exactly what you want, because it's the only thing that you know in Chicago. And now this is headed for a divorce. Matt Nagy as a coach in the NFL is a failure because he can't teach.
It is actually a full organizational failure because he took over. They hired him knowing who the quarterback was.
Okay. Was I not?
Can you say that? Can he have said that more succinctly?
But the thing is, I have been saying that from day one. I was like, he doesn't know how to adapt to his personnel. And what you did in Kansas City, you can't do in Chicago because you don't have the same type of personnel. That whole part about being adaptive was always the issue. And you know what? Here's how it works. Even in Nick Foles' defense, he's running for his life because, again, there's no line. So now you got a guy running for his life that really can't run. I mean, if we're going to put blame, I don't expect for Nick Foles to work a miracle when it's like you snap the ball and it's like he's under duress immediately. So there's so many issues with injuries, people opting out, whatever. So I guarantee you, they're going to get a pass on this season being so awful because of COVID. They're going to say, well, people didn't play. I don't think they should. But when it's all said and done, I mean, even the interception that Nick Foles threw, to be honest, that ball could have been caught.
Should have been caught.
So, I mean, I often hate when quarterbacks will get you threw an interception when the ball was in the player's hands. And I don't think that's fair because, I mean, every throw isn't going to be perfect. We see Aaron Rodgers not throw perfect passes, but we then see those receivers make great catches out of not great passes. So, I mean, everybody is so busy in Chicago trying to play the blame game. Just accept your team is not good. I didn't buy in from the very beginning. I didn't. Mitch was never good enough for me, and I never liked Nagy from day one. I was one person when he said, I was like, I don't want him. Not interested. But that was just me.
There's a couple things. So first, like Dan Orlovsky really sounds like someone who is trying to get a job as a coach in the NFL. Like, am I the only one who heard that? Because that really sounded like someone who's like, hey guys, I'm your next quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, guru here. Listen to, because he spoke with some bass in his voice. Like he had something personal with Matt Nagy. So that was bold. I appreciate that out of commentary. I can go back and forth on fitting the offense. There was that point last year in the second half where they kind of made that run and they had kind of fit some things to, more rollouts, more play action for Mitch. And then the Packers game happened and Mitch couldn't execute and couldn't counterpunch what Mike Pettin was throwing at him. And then it really fell apart in the Chiefs game. And then that Vikings game at the end didn't matter. But like the thing about Mitch and Matt as a partnership is that they don't know how to together overcome hard times. They have not been able to, even when things were good in 2018, like Jordan Howard was the guy really carrying that load offensively in the second half of the season when they made that run. But things look good, and then when they're asked to, do something else to adapt, they can't. It's really weird to watch.
And that was one of the things that Orlovsky said is adapting, the adaptation of your system. And that was the thing. Like I was off Matt Nagy when he refused to use Jordan Howard. Okay, and that was it. That was year one, and I'm like, no, that was the first red flag for me. And as an offensive coordinator, you have to, until you get your people, you have to make sure that you have to adjust your system to fit the skill set of the players that you have. And he didn't do that. He still doesn't do that to this day.
No, he doesn't.
Okay? And that's part of the issue. So, for me, I am more than happy to have Matt Nagy gone. I don't know, you talked about is George seeing this? I hope he is seeing it. I hope he's seeing it. I hope he's putting pressure or even trumping, no pun intended, Ted Phillips and saying, hey, listen, they got to go. They got to go because we see it. And it's some of the things that, you get meathead fans like, we sucks and this and this. And they just make invalid meathead points. But a lot of the points that you're seeing from meatheads are extremely valid. And they're so prevalent that, you can't see them or you can't miss them. And these are people who really don't have a good football IQ. And it's so blatant that you can't help but see it. And I don't know. I'm hoping. I put it this way. As a Bear fan, as a lifelong Bear fan, I'm hoping that something is done to redirect this franchise. And if that means firing those guys, then so be it. I'm not saying I want their jobs that I want them fired. It's just not good karma. I'm just saying I want this organization steered back in the direction that we feel, because we haven't been very successful, but that we feel we should be, or at least going that way. And if that means chopping heads, part of the gig.
Let them roll. The problem is that when you talk about wanting to bring back Mitch, whatever, at this point, I don't know that it matters, but I'm going to tell you, probably during the Green Bay game is probably not a good idea because Mitch is one of those people that has a weak mental constitution. He does. So I'm back. I may not be 100% and it's Green Bay. Not a good idea. To me, that's setting him up for failure.
The thing is, like, what are your alternatives? If Foles can't start, you can start Tyler Gray.
Hey,
go quit on the first as soon as
kick the wheels. You never know. He might end up being like crochet with the White Sox. No one knew he was like that. It was like, who's this kid? All of a sudden, you never know. I don't know. I mean,
I think we know. Did you see his look when they were bringing him in? He looked scared, man.
I know. That was a big stage. I mean, but he's cut his. I'm not saying he's going to perform high against Green Bay. At this point, I don't know that it really matters who you bring into the game. Because I'll be honest, it's going to be a L one way or the other. And the thing is, you hope it's just not an ugly L, which means the defense has to work their ass off so that the Bears are not extremely embarrassed. That's what it comes down to.
I do hope it's an ugly L. I do hope it's an ugly L. Because of the fact
Aaron Rodgers loves this. He lives for this.
I want there to be no question that these guys need to be gone. I want it to be as much as I'm a huge Bear fan. I'm a meathead Bear fan. I love it. All right, I love my Bears. But I want it to the point where there's just no way that you can you're putting lipstick on a pig, and there's nothing you can do and say, hey, listen, there's a lot. And Lewis, talk to me about Ryan Pace and how hot is his seat, because we just talked about, Maya said, when Nick Foles gets the snap, first of all, it's shotgun. When you get a shotgun and you have a 3-step drop and you can't finish a 3-step drop from a shotgun because there's somebody in your face
already.
And why is that? Because there's no depth on the offensive line. You have guys, the highest draft, the most he's invested in this draft in linemen is second round picks for James Daniel and Cody Whitehair. And those two guys are out. Now everybody's an undrafted free agent. Everyone's a 7th rounder. Everyone's a 5th rounder. Everyone's this. And you're asking undrafted rookie free agents. You're asking 7 rounders to stop Aaron Donald. You're asking him to stop Aaron Donald. And whose fault is that? Ryan Pace.
Ryan Pace. Here's a headline I wrote on November 3rd. Sunday's game was lost in the offseason when Ryan Pace didn't properly address the offensive line. If there's one thing we've done at BN this calendar football year is talk about the Bears' need at offensive line. We addressed it at the end of the season. We addressed it before free agency, suggesting, hey, there are free agents who are available that can help you as starters and as depth. After they went through that and all they came away with was Jason Spriggs and Jermaine Ifedi, we went back to the draft and said, hey, look, this is a good draft to maybe pick someone in the second round, maybe the 4th round, if you got like a compensatory pick, which they ultimately traded for Nick Foles. But there were options at every phase of the offseason, even later in the offseason when the Saints, for example, cut Larry Warford, or there were other guys who were cut and guys who were rumored to be on the trade block. At every turn, we said, hey, the Bears' offensive line ain't it. And they could bounce back to 2018 for him, but even then, that group was average at best. You can win with an offensive line that's average, but if average is best, that means their mean potential is below average, and that's just not going to cut it in a championship year. And Ryan Pace ignored that. And I want to go back to something I wrote back in, I believe, September. When George McCaskey spoke to the media, he was asked about, Pace being on his last year, Nagy, 2 years left, doing all this in a pandemic. And I really came away thinking, even in just hearing George's words, even in a year in which it would be easy for, to give the front office a pass, a mulligan, what have you, to get to this point, Ryan Pace still just there wasn't this vote of confidence that you would expect. So Ryan Pace, I believe, is on the hot seat, and I believe he might take Matt Nagy down with him.
Well, I mean, they're linked. I mean, so if one goes, the other has to go. I mean, what does Pace say? If you fire Nagy, he just becomes like the firing last year of some of the staff. You're like, that wasn't fair. So my thing is, if one goes, the other has to go, because that was Pace's choice. He got to pick it. So to me, they just clean house and be done with it.
Yeah. Now, it's going to be hard to fire a coach with 2 years left on his deal. They've done it before with Mark Trestman. But the difference here, and it's something that kind of wrote on my notepad today, was when they fired Trestman, that was an obvious call. The team had taken a step back. They lost the team. Remember, they cut Jay Ratliff because he was threatening people at Hallis Hall. He said he was going to come in and shoot people at Hallis. You can't do that. You couldn't do it then. You can't do that now. The difference is the players like Matt Nagy, and it's a weird place to be in, because there have been several occasions in whether it's Allen Robinson or Cordarrelle Patterson or some of these other skill position players who speak their mind no matter what on social and in interviews to kind of sneak diss him, throw him under the bus, and they haven't. And to me, that says two things. One, Bears got some real smart dudes on their team. And two, even though things aren't going well, they respect Matt Nagy. I don't want a Lovie Smith situation, where we knew kind of Lovie was at the end of his rope, but the players played hard for him and respected him. And the players didn't play hard or respect Mark Trestman for good reason, right? I don't want the Bears to make a decision where they got a locker room of dudes who back their coach, dismiss the coach, and then play for a guy that ain't nobody trying to play for because he can't bring guys together. Think of the John Fox days. Guys, you knew when guys quit at the end of the John Fox era, but we remember how he pulled guys up. He brought guys up. Mm-hmm. I don't want that. So that's why I think Pace is on the hot seat. But then, do we really trust George and Ted to find the guy? To find the guy? It's such a mess. What do you do?
Why now has George gone and said, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and take more of a front seat to finding, to fixing this, to fixing whatever problem this is, whether it be firing Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy or one or the other or what have you." But I'm like, well, when you got Ted Phillips in there for 20 years, when you have the same voices in your head for 20 years, don't you think don't they ever get stale? Don't you ever want to be innovative? Because it seems like the Bears just go in circles. It's a carousel of mistakes, nonstop, just a carousel of mistakes. Sometimes they hit, but when they miss for a decade.
This is what it looks like when $1 billion corporation or business is run by a mom and pop shop. They don't have good business people inside. They make money. Don't get me wrong. They make money, and that's good. But making money isn't everything. Just because you make money doesn't mean you're in good shape. Now, here's the truth of this. Ted Phillips ain't going anywhere. He's been with he's basically family. Mm-hmm. So basically, the Bears need to get lucky. They need to find a football Theo Epstein and let him run football operations. You give him the resources and stay out of the way.
What about Theo Epstein?
He's on my list. I'm writing about it today. He's on my list. And even if it's not Theo, I've been writing this kind of in a draft because I really wanted Daryl Morey from the Rockets. Because if there's one thing that I think Morey's philosophy translates to all sports is that he understands how to value cap space and draft picks. And what are the two things Ryan Pace has not valued in his time in Chicago? Cap space, draft picks. So if you got someone who can tell Ryan Pace, hey, look, you can evaluate talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball. However, this guy isn't worth this. So scale back. We can find you something like Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn got $70 million. What's he doing?
Yeah,
it's not a great allocation of sources of funds, and that's the allocation of resources is why we're here in the first place. You didn't do it for the quarterback. You didn't do right for the quarterback. You didn't do right for some of your skill position players. You didn't do right for the offensive line. Man, 3 strikes.
Yeah.
Well, he's got more than that, dude. I mean, you look at his draft picks, and it starts off with Kevin White, and it goes to Leonard Floyd, and it goes to Mitch Trubisky. Okay, now you got to cover your ass having to get a wide receiver to cover Kevin White. Then you have to get a pass rusher for Leonard Floyd, and now you get the Robert Quinn. Then you got to get a quarterback, Nick Foles, for your thing. Then you go and you reach for Adam Shaheen in the second round because you traded picks, and Adam Shaheen was on online school. I don't even know if they had a football team at Ashland. And so you draft all these things. Like you just got there's so much robbing Peter to pay Paul, and that's the issue. And that's why I'm not a big fan of his. Who else? Or if you don't want to tell us because you want us to read it, not a problem. But who else are you thinking? Because I'm looking at my guy from St. Rita, Mark Sadowski. He's the director of college personnel, and I know this guy. I want a football person making football decisions. I don't want a person. Mark played at Tulane. Okay, so now I got a guy who's played high school, who's played Division I, who's been around football. So give me a football guy to make football decisions. Those are people, and he's also one of the people that I know that's passionate. Because you need a guy. You don't need a guy who's like, oh wow, I'm going to make X amount of millions of dollars. No, you need a guy who says, I want to bring this franchise back to where to it being respected, because they're a laughing stock. It doesn't. Yeah, I'm going to get the money, but that's not my motivation. My motivation is getting this franchise respectable.
Mm-hmm. I got a couple guys. Mark was one of them.
Okay.
Champ Kelly is another inside the organization. But when you make that interview, I got one question and one question only. What was your draft day decision on Mitchell Trubisky? What was your evaluation on Mitchell Trubisky? And your honest one, not the one that you're giving me now that you've seen it. I want like your paperwork from back then, because that tells me everything. That will tell me everything. Your quarterback evaluation of that 2017 draft class will tell me everything I need to know about you. Beyond that, there's a guy that a lot of friends of mine in the football community keep pitching me, and that's Borgonzi. Mike Borgonzi from the Chiefs. I know people don't want to go back to the Chiefs tree, but hey, Chris Ballard's doing a hell of a job in Indy. So Borgonzi is.
Wasn't he with the Bears at one particular point? Oh yeah, never mind. He was. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. The Chiefs tree can be up and down, but more recently it's been good. And the other guy who I've been talking about him for years, Louis Riddick on ESPN.
His name's popped up big time.
He's the smartest guy in the room, and he doesn't tell you he's the smartest guy in the room, and that's why I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a Louis Riddick fan when I started listening to him when he got the job, and I'm like, yeah, like there's a football guy who knows football, and for him to make football decisions he's the type of person I would trust. I was wondering if you're going to have Louis Riddick. Yeah, I would trust him if that's a guy that you wanted to go with, because he's been in the front office. Okay, he's first of all, he's played at that level. Secondly, he's been in the front office, and then now he's been an analyst as well. So you need people who, I mean, you talk about looking at it, have been very well respected, and you need a guy who has all those feathers in his cap, because you look at things differently when you're a player, when you're in the front office, when you're an analyst for ESPN. All these things are different, and when you get to look through those various different lenses, I think it only helps someone like that to bring a franchise back. So.
I don't want you to revisit pain, but if you get a chance to rewatch the 2 Monday night games, listen to what Louis Riddick says about the Bears. Mm-hmm. It sounds like him and Matt Nagy have had some speaks, which is good because Matt needs because him and Matt go back to Philly. Mm-hmm. Matt needs someone who can kind of push him around and get his head on straight. So if the Bears were bold enough to keep Matt Nagy as a head coach, your first call better be to Louis Riddick, because everyone, Dan Orlovsky talked about relationships and marriages, and a really good partner will push your buttons, but will do so to get the best out of you. I think Louis Riddick can be that for anybody, but I think specifically if you said, hey, we need to, we'll bite the bullet on Ryan, but we can't do 2 years of the coach, Riddick's your guy.
That's a great perspective, dude. That's why we have him on. He is awesome. Hey, Louis, thank you so much, Papa. We appreciate it. Do me a favor, let everyone know they can find you and your work online.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at LCM1986 and at BN_Bears, BleacherNation.com/Bears, Bulls too. And we're hiring a Blackhawks writer. The pinned tweet is my tweet for the application process. We're jumping into hockey, and I'm excited about it.
Hey, good stuff. Last question. I know I said there was it, but what do you think the Bulls are doing today? Are they jumping up to number 2? Are they trading Wendell Carter Jr. to the Warriors to go to 4-2? Who do you like?
I think they're going to trade back. I think that's what my gut feeling is. I saw the Knicks made a trade today. They got a couple first-round picks, and their first rounder is the 8th pick, I believe. So I think this is the weird draft where the best player could be go 1st overall or 20th overall. So I think it'd be better to have 2 picks.
Okay. Well, I know you're going to be glued to the TV, and you're recording all your other shows because you're going to be watching that draft. Because I know you're a big Bulls guy too. So
can't wait. Draft day.
Yep, draft day, baby. Hey, thank you, Papa. We appreciate it, man. Always great having you on, man. Good to be able to get you back on.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
All right, guys. That's Luis Medina from Funky Cole Medina from Bleacher Nation, who covers the Bulls, covers the Bears, covers the Cubs, and yeah, there's a lot, man. It's and that's a great thing on Louis Riddick. He's one guy that I like, but that's true when he talked about you need a guy who can put you a partner who can push your buttons.
Okay, let's be real about this though. He's probably too much for the Bears. I like him.
He might be.
But the Bears they've never really, to me, been in a position where they brought somebody in who has that kind of autonomy in thinking. He's not going to be Team McCaskey. He's going to be Team Bears.
Team win. Team victory.
And which is obviously needed. So I don't know that they would take a risk because he's not going to be a yes man. And I'm pretty sure in an interview he'd be like, look, if you think you're going to bring me here because I'm going to do and say what you want, then don't bother because I want the team to win, which means hard decisions have to be made.
Could that be could that be exactly what Ted and Virginia want to hear? Because, let's be honest, Virginia doesn't have very many years left. She's in her 90s. So she's got, you know what I mean? So she wants to see another title. George McCaskey wants to see his mother win another title. And sometimes desperate times calls for desperate measures. And it could be the impetus to say, hey, you know what? Mom doesn't have a lot of time left. This is a guy who's about business and getting that done. That's, we've done it. We've done it, this way so far. We've got one Super Bowl under our belt. One.
Virginia was really big on Lovey, so she might be ready for driving Miss Daisy round 2. So she might be open to it. Like, let's give the colored boy a chance. He might be good. Anyways, let me stop being mean. That was mean, and it was unnecessary. And it was unnecessary.
Because you're hanging out all these Cub fans today. You, Ivan.
No, I think he'd be fantastic. I'm just saying, I don't think they're ready for that because he's not. They've always had people that are yes, yes, and what you need is some no.
No, that's not going to work.
That's exactly it because you have this. What we say all the time. They're the charter franchise. They know that shit. That hasn't left their mind. In their mind, they're still the charter franchise, but they're not winning. And that in their mind, they're the flagship without being the flagship. They're the flagship.
But what's winning to them, Ivan? What's winning to them? Is winning to them on the field, or is winning to them in their bank account? Because they're getting a hell of a lot of money in the bank account, and they know what did we talk about on Monday? Because if you have season tickets, just bump these guys. I'm not going. They're not getting another dime of my money. You think they care? No. Why? Because there's 10 other people ready, willing, and able to plop money down for season tickets, and they don't need your money. So what is winning to them? And I think that we need as a fan base, we need to find out from them what's winning for you. Is it the almost $300 million you get at the end of the year is in revenue sharing? Is that winning for you?
Here's what we know already. We know what it's not. We know it's not making competent choices in regards to coaches, middle management, even in personnel. We already know what it's not. They've always managed to not make solid decisions. And even, when you think they finally do something like, okay, we'll appease the fans and we'll go get John Fox. And I still feel bad for John Fox. I'm like, you got that blemish on your legacy and that sucks because it wasn't 100% really his fault, so to speak. Even for Nagy, sometimes people need to know maybe you're not head coach material. Maybe you should stay in your lane. But my gripe about Nagy always was he didn't call a full season with the Chiefs.
There's two different things though, Maya. Because you're as a head coach and as a play caller. Those are two different independent things that he had to do. That he barely called 5 games. So you're asking him to call games.
That's what I'm saying.
And be a head coach.
But that's what I'm saying. And there was nothing that was indicative that he was really a successful play caller. Because I remember that playoff game, he got waxed on, waxed off. So I was like, why exactly did we think he was this great offensive mind? See, that coaching tree thing gets people all twisted up. Because look at Belichick's coaching tree. No one's had the level of success that he has had. But we assume because people come from a certain organization or under a certain coach that they're going to be good the same way. No. And I think that's the problem with Nagy. He was trying to emulate what was in Kansas City, but this is Chicago, and you didn't have Kansas City personnel, period.
You're absolutely right. The thing is that the only thing that they had to base their decision on really was the word of Andy Reid. He said that Matt Nagy was the most ready to be a head coach that he's ever had on his tree. He was the most ready.
Well, then now he looks like an idiot. Because if he said that, because you don't. Well, then again, I'm a trust. What's ready? And I'll be honest, Andy Reid's success is predicated on the fact of what he has in regards to a quarterback. Let's look at him leaving out the Eagles. Always was able to get to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But he was a classic, not a finisher. But he gets to Kansas City and all the things are right. So you're only as good as the personnel. Now, I'm gonna give Nagy one small little pass. You can't expect for him to work magic with Aldi ingredients. Now, Aldi's has some good things. I'm an Aldi fan. Shop there all the time. But it's not the same type of product you get if you're at Jewel or wherever else. You know what I'm saying? So we expected the very inexperienced head coach to work magic with not all that great ingredients.
Right.
So to keep it real, let's be honest. Why does Matt LaFleur look amazing in Green Bay right now?
Because Aaron Rodgers is carrying that team. Aaron Rodgers runs that team.
Real talk. So even though I'm not a Nagy fan, I can't fully crucify him. Oh, that's so strong. Different word. I can't fully hold him accountable.
I fully blame him.
Well, when you put up an article that says I am not an idiot, I mean, Jesus, people, you said you're trying to subconsciously plant that shit in his brain is what you're doing, and you just did it when you put that on the cover. But the bottom line is that why would we expect for him to work magic when there is no magic here?
You know, I think the biggest problem was putting too much on his plate. Mm-hmm. Okay, we like I just said, he was a play caller for 5 games, and you're asking him to do that. In the last game that he called in the playoffs, he got his ass handed to him.
Yeah.
And so now you're asking him to do that and be a head coach. Like, you don't know what it's like to be a head coach unless you're a head coach. So like if you've been a head coach in high school, okay, that gives you a framework. If you've been a head coach in college, that gives you a framework. If you've been a head coach in the NFL, that gives you a framework. But when you've never been a head coach, you don't understand all of the different things that you're responsible for. In addition to calling plays.
He honestly shouldn't have been a play caller from day one.
I concur.
He should have been just a head coach. And obviously you can have lots of feedback and input into what happens on your offense with your coordinator. But that's the whole point of having a coordinator. So pretty much that's why when they fired the last one, I'm like, what are he getting fired for? He didn't do it. I mean, really? What did he do? But show up to work. But so my thing is that either the salvage to not getting rid of him, which I just say cut the cord, but the salvage would be you're just going to be a head coach. That's it. And see what happens in that role. I don't personally think they get any better. I don't. I was underwhelmed with that play calling game. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things. And I also think within an organization, there's dissension because when Jordan Howard left, not good. When Alshon Jeffrey left, a lot of people leave here with just a bad taste in their mouth. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because I kind of feel like Khalil Mack is getting to that point. Like, I kind of feel like.
Funny you say that, yeah.
When I watch his body language, even Akeem Hicks, I'm starting to think that though they do a lot of carrying, I think the defense is starting to get disenchanted. And I'm still very underwhelmed with Pagano, by the way. I expect some more, but what you see is what you get. Maybe I gave him too much credence. I don't know. But I kind of feel like the defense is starting to get worn out, disenchanted. And once that happens, then what's left? I mean, that's the reason the Vikings only scored 19 points.
You know, that defense, I've been alluding to that for a while now, is that at some point there's going to be rift. There's going to be a rift. You know, there's got to be, because of the fact that I can't, like, as a defense, our job is not to score. But in this team, our job has to be to score in order for us to win. Now, if we score because, you know, our offense puts up 21 points or 24 points and we throw it on and, you know, get to 31, okay, great, wonderful. But when you're being counted on as a defense to score points, not set up the offense for a short field, to actually score points, that's more than your job description. Although this team can do it, if you don't, then they get frustrated because they don't want to do it. Now they're trying to do more because they realize that we do need to score more points. We need to score points as a defense, and that's not your job description.
It's not. And Barlissimo just kind of said what I just said is the reason why he got fired. Helfrich, he didn't call plays,
but Helfrich didn't call plays. He was just there.
And I remember when he got fired, I said that's bogus. I said, I said because you're firing people who didn't even get the scope of their job. They didn't get to do it. But always, here's the thing about this is when people just don't know how to shoot from the hip. We sucked. No one should have gotten fired because the year before everyone performed better. Remember? Wasn't like awesome, but they performed better in 2018. So my thing is, so then you have a bad season. It's absolutely not fair to turn around and to fire those people because then you have a bad season. I know he must have been like, I'm getting fired and I didn't even get to do the scope of my job. I thought that was some of the most bogus terminations because they felt like somebody had to pay the piper. But all to me you had to do was stand firm and say, look, this is not the season we wanted to have for this, this, and this. And that changes should have been made then. You know what? This is why you fire Pace's ass, because clearly he's not on pace for shit. The bottom line is that you saw that Nagy was struggling in that year, and you should have taken that responsibility off his plate. And whoever you hired should have come in and laser and should have been, because remember, he selected somebody who thought would be a good fit with Nagy, right? That guy should have been calling the plays. But instead, you kept subscribing to the same madness from the year before, and you let him do it. So Pace absolutely should get fired because his decision-making is flawed across the board. But I tell you, never trust a man who has that much damn hair gel because it ain't right.
I trust Jimmy Johnson.
Anybody who spends that much time making sure shit's in place and the stuff that's supposed to be in place ain't, don't trust it. I'm just saying, don't trust it.
Can't trust it.
No.
Can't trust it.
You spend all that time focusing on your damn hair, and you can't make decisions that matter in winning. You know who you're not. My thing. So now you take play calling away now. Well,
that's the thing, man. He knew this shit. Like,
that's what I'm saying. You knew it last year.
This was all in your control from last year on.
I'm gonna tell you,
it blows my mind.
So the plays that Bill Lazor calls are not plays that Bill Lazor has had a chance to construct.
No.
The play Bill Lazor is calling are Matt Nagy's plays. So now you want me to win with your plays.
Right.
When in the middle of the thing. I mean, granted, it did. I will give him a credit saying it did take a lot of cojones and a lot of humble pie to give those up. But you also knew by the same token that this is still the same plays that are going to be running. You know what? Lazor shouldn't go. If you keep Nagy, then Lazor has to stay and let him be the offensive coordinator, which means let him put his offense together. Nagy, you want to contribute, fine, but let Lazor put his packages together, his schemes together. Let him do that. So when if it doesn't work, then they can say, okay, guess what? We gave it a shot and it didn't work.
Here's what you do then. The season is done. It's
done.
It's done. And I told you when they were winning games, I was like, that's not that team. I knew that wasn't real. That was a mirage the whole time. I was like, nope. So here's what you do. I'll be honest. Don't fire nobody. Don't fire anybody. Let everything sit pat because you are asking, Lazor. He's not really doing this. Like you said, he's running Nagy's packages. He now needs time to put his own package together. And guess what? Then the team has to learn them. You know what I mean? So let's be honest. It's not going to happen in this season. He can start to develop it, but it's not going to happen. Who knows who your quarterback's going to be? But you sit pat for next year, Nagy's going to be pissy as all get out because what he really wants to do is everything, but he can't. So let everything sit. Let him run it out the year. Let Lazor run. Let's let the framework work the way it's supposed to and see what happens. And then if you see next year nothing got better, then scrap it all. But what's the point of throwing everything away and starting all over again?
Right.
Just hope you can have a healthy people come back next season. People can be healthy. You do have to address the quarterback issue and figure out you got to go get somebody competent back there. You have to work. Let's be honest. You got to work on the line. You have to go get some people. There's no doubt. Otherwise, everybody's under duress if this line does not get better. And I understand injuries are key. Whitehair and Daniels not being there, it makes a difference. Let's be honest. It's huge for them. And I don't discount that because Nick Foles has to kind of change and morph in a way that's not his game. And he you could tell he thinks about it and then he stops. And by the time he thinks about it, he should have ran already.
So I got a question for you, Maya. Do you address the offensive line in the first round this year?
Mm-hmm.
First round pick.
despite the fact that O-lines are they're never sexy to people. Getting linemen are not sexy to people. But here's what matters. The best O-lines you see are drafted and developed. And when you get someone in free agency, it's usually because they're out to pasture. Like they're old, you know what I'm saying? And that line has been retooled and they've been turfed. So my thing is, we've never drafted to build an O-line. I mean, you got Daniels, you got Whitehair, so you do have some pieces that are good, but you need more. You need more. So yes, to me, you need to go into free agents. I mean, you need to go into that draft and you need linemen. I mean, unless for somehow there's a quarterback sitting there that's so irresistible, but chances are it's not going to be there when you pick.
You want to take one look at just take a look at Quentin Nelson. What the hell he's doing in Indianapolis? That dude is destroying people as a guard. This is a guy who's literally just manhandling people. And I was the last person that I've talked. I said the last badass son of a bitch offensive lineman you had was Kyle Long.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Quentin Nelson is along those lines. Like there's nobody, I forgot who I was talking to, or I said, I've been very fortunate to play behind a lot of good offensive linemen. And I've had guys, and I've heard them tell a defensive lineman, you're going to be in my B-out all day today. We're running right here and you ain't going to stop us. Yep. And guess what? They moved his ass. And guess what? They didn't stop it. Those are the type. We don't have any of those bad sons of those some bitches that we need. That as a running back, you're like, yeah, these guys as a quarterback, that they'll do anything. We don't have a Larry Allen and Nate Newton and Eric Williams like the Cowboys did. Oh, but then again, they drafted those guys in the first and second round because in the 90s, which only helped Emmett become the National Football League's all-time leading rusher. I personally would go with a first-round pick as an offensive lineman. I wouldn't even mind a first and a second-round pick as an offensive lineman. Okay, and because that's what as well as I do. That's where the game is won in the trenches. Because I don't give a damn who you have back there. Quarterback. If you see Nick Foles literally on a 3-step drop of a shotgun having pressure, that's not good. So the receivers are going to be open. So if I'm a DB, I can have a lot more pressure up there because I realize these guys are going to get there in a heartbeat. So first and second round, I'm good with it. I'm good with Daniels. I'm good with Whitehair. But give me another first or second round pick. I want that offensive line. Maybe one guy could be exception, but they should all be first or second round picks. Period.
Yeah. Yes, because let's be honest. You look at the type of success that Dak Prescott had. A large part of that was predicated on the fact that he had one of the best lines in the NFL, which then allowed him to be honest. Not that I'm saying keep Mitch. I'm not saying that. But let's be honest. Having a good line can help someone else be better.
Well, can I say this though? Can I say this on my speaking about Mitch? I'm not going to stick on Mitch because he is who he is, and that's it.
No, it is. I agree.
Although you also know who Jared Goff is, right? And we saw in the Rams game how Sean McVay adjusted for Jared Goff. Adjusted to succeed against this defense. He adjusted. Matt, you never saw that with anybody. Foles, Daniels, Trubisky. You never seen him. It was always Matt Nagy's plays. So I feel like everybody that's played under Matt Nagy as of right now has been done an injustice because you really haven't seen what their full potential as a player is under him.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, I think Mitch Trubisky could be awesome. I think it could be in the middle of like the second tier of quarterbacks, so maybe like just above average, an above average quarterback. And for this offense or for this defense and for this team, that would be all we needed. That would be all. We don't need him to be a Joe Montana. We don't need him to be a Tom Brady. We need him to be efficient. We need him to move the chains with his feet. We need to throw on time. We need to do all these things. Do things and like I said, middle of the above average quarterbacks is his ceiling. And for this team, that could have got us deep in the playoffs year in and year out. So
I mean, you're right because it's not like you have to. Everyone, the Aaron Rodgers, the Drew Breeses every quarterback's not going to be like that. Even though I do like the slow and steady development of Burrows. Not what a great.
They slow. That dude had like 400 yards a couple weeks ago.
I'm saying though. But the thing I say about Joe Burrows is that he's built for the NFL. He has that mental constitution and focus that Mitch doesn't have. That you can't. It's hard to learn it. He's going to be, and he's not on a great team, by the way, but you see what he's doing. So, I mean, I look at people like that, people make the assumption that that's what Trevor Lawrence will be. Maybe, maybe not. People thought Baker, and I don't think Baker Mayfield is not that. Again, it's about where you are, because sometimes, and there was a lot of squabbling again in the front office and coach. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a healthy environment. I think, I'll be honest, and people are like, no way, you put Baker Mayfield on the Bears and we win more games.
Well, there's the thing about Baker Mayfield that it's called moxie. All right, and he's got an attitude. He's got a sense of je ne sais quoi. When you're a quarterback, you need that.
Je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi. You need that as a quarterback.
Yes, you do.
You need it, and because there's so. I mean, look at Jim McMahon. Jim McMahon's not going to go down as a Hall of Fame quarterback, but guess what? That team rallied around him, and when it came time to make a play, he made a play, and that's what you need as a quarterback. And I see it. Joe Burrows, hell yeah, I see it.
Even
hell yeah, I see it
with the Bills. I mean, again,
oh, Josh Allen, heck yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you're seeing these tiers of quarterbacks make, and that's why I could never invest in Mitch, because he's not taking the steps forward. But at the same time, he's also not in a good environment. But then neither is Baker Mayfield, and he still has those moments. You like, he's got it, he can do it, but some things have to change. You know what I mean? So again, the Bears are just in a situation. Here's the thing: the Bears' culture is bad. It's not a culture of winning. So though they may be one of those original franchises, to me, they don't manage themselves that way.
Yes.
You know what? One hand washes the other. And here's the thing about that. We talked about Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield has Nick Chubb. He's got he's got people. He's got some people over there.
He does.
Right? Who's the running back who left Cleveland, Kansas City? Kareem Hunt. You've got Kareem Hunt over there. You've got some playmakers. ODB. You've got
who's out though? He's out for injury.
Right, but then his same guy from LSU as well. So you had play, but it starts with you don't run the ball, and do you not run the ball? Because if you run the ball, it makes it easier for the quarterback. But then again, you can't run the ball because the fact that your offensive line is hurt. So now you have an offensive line that sucks because you want to run the ball to help your quarterback, but you can't run the ball because the offensive line's hurt. So now you can't run the ball, you can't pass the ball. What are you going to do on offense? That's exactly where the Bears are. That's exactly where the Bears are, because you won't commit to the run. So now is it built an excuse for Matt Nagy to say, well, I can't really run the ball because my offensive line stinks. Okay, but then you expect to throw the ball if your offensive line stinks? It does not make sense.
Well, yeah, because the play needs more time to open up downfield than a run play does. I mean, it's just a lot of nonsense. It's just, I mean, I'll be honest, short of you being exceptionally good, like a Kyler Murray who can be a bullet, you know what I mean?
A joker.
It's just everybody's in a losing situation with the Bears from a personnel standpoint, offensively, because they can't hold time. You got a guy who really can't run, and the guy who can run can't necessarily throw. I mean, it's just like you need a blending of the two of you. Need them to be a hybrid, so to speak.
Yes.
They need a hybrid quarterback. You know, they really do. But I don't. You know, at this point, I'm not going to point the finger fully at personnel. It is what it is. I did expect a bit more from Foles, but at the same time, how can I expect when the line can't even hold a shotgun? You know what I'm saying? That you can't. When you can't do that, that's like, okay, you have no time to think. It's like he does try to make plays. You know what I'm saying? And hence, think about this. You probably will see more interceptions because he's trying to get the ball off quickly. And that doesn't mean that the play is unfolded properly, the receivers where they should be. There's so many things working against them offensively. And the thing is, there's no quick fix because they don't have anyone they can insert to the line that's going to do better.
I'll say this: the line did do better in a half where I saw less of Matt Nagy stuff, less of what the Bears were typically doing, and I felt like maybe Bill Lazor just adjusted certain plays, or maybe he just used the plays that he felt like were suited best for the players or for the team at the time. But they were able to hold a pocket at times for most of the first half, and Nick Foles looked all right. The offense looked good. It was when in the second half when you clearly saw that he had nothing else but Nagy plays that they started going downhill. That they went three and outs for -3 yards. That's when you saw it. So for me, like Shawn said, I feel like if Bill Lazor with this bye week can implement something with this offensive line that you're going to have throughout, the rest of the year, I don't see them beating the Packers. but maybe you get to maybe you get to an 8-8, 9-7. Maybe you make it interesting, but I don't see playoffs at all with this team.
They can't go 8-8. They can't go 8-8 because you sit there and then now you can say, well, I've never had a losing season, and we know how you can fudge the numbers, and technically that's true. You wouldn't have a losing season. A losing season is 8-8, but they can't. If we want change, then I'm telling you. I don't care if they lose every single game the rest of the year, because at that point now there's the spotlight, the interrogation light is on everything, and there's no hiding for anybody.
Well, guess what though?
No hiding for Ryan Pace.
But there's no hiding now. I think everybody's like, they're out in the open. Seriously, like they're scathing reviews at this point. I don't think anybody is gonna, if they go 8-8, is gonna be okay with 8-8. And if the problem is, if the Bears are okay with 8-8, that gets back into their mindset about not having a winning culture. But again, like I said, you can fire Pace, but just leave everything else like it is, and see if you really put an offensive coordinator in place. He gets the other half of the season to develop a playbook. They got to learn the plays. I mean, he lost time in being able to really install his offense, but at least he can start to. And then go from there. I mean, and Nagy's going to hate it because what he really wants to do is call plays.
Yep. You know what's so funny? I think he wants to call plays more than he wants to be a head coach.
Yes.
But I agree. But he probably felt that head coach thing, it's that accolade, not realizing that, you know what I really want to do is just focus on calling plays. And I'm not even sure how good I'm at that. Because think about it. Let's just say Laser really gets to institute what type of schemes he wants to do, and it's successful. Now Nagy really has egg on his face because you were given multiple opportunities to be able to do it, and you couldn't. And he's doing it exactly with the same personnel. So then he's got to sit there in that and be okay with it. You know what I mean?
Eat that humble pie like a son of a gun.
And let's be honest, he doesn't eat humble pie very well.
Nope. So hopefully it is, and because put it this way, I want one of two things to happen. I want us to start going on the tear offensively, okay? And the chances of that happening are slim and none. Slim's about to leave town. But again, it's also, there was the one thing I did like was the tempo. Like he got up, he ran. There was the Bears had a good tempo last week, and I think that if they can continue to do that, it'll help kind of smooth over some. Not all, believe me, not all, but it'll smooth over some of the issues that they have. Just getting defenses caught in wrong personnel, things like that. But also, now you gain a little confidence, and now if he's with the bye week, he's got some of his own plays that he's going to be able to implement. But also now he can really look at the plays that Matt Nagy has. Say, okay, 37% of these plays are gone. I'm never going to use these again, and kind of pick and choose ones that he likes. Because you're stuck with Matt Nagy's plays. Pick the ones you like, because all of them are bad. Mm-hmm. But pick some of the ones that you like that go with your philosophy. Okay, with getting the ball out quickly, with an up-tempo offense, and mesh those with yours. I think we have a shot to have a much more productive offense, and hell, at least give us 17 points, man. At least 17 points. I know that might be a yeoman's task, but man, at least give us 17 points so you can be, at the bottom of the average category for NFL offenses. My goodness, but it's either that or lose horribly the rest of the season, which I'm okay with too.
Okay, but I don't know how many Bear fans will be okay with that, because they'll just probably.
I think a lot more would be, but there's still going to be a big segment that's going to be mad. But I want it because now you're done. Now there's got to be Bear fans are going to speak. They're going to be sports talk radios are going to be it's going to go ham. And I think that is something that's going to make the McCaskies finally do something. When you start off at 5-1 and the probability was like 80-something% that you're going to make the playoffs, and then you miss the playoffs, yeah, that you talk about the ultimate egg on your face, big time. That's egg on your face. Well, listen, let's take a quick break. It'll be the last break of the show, and we'll have some more conversation. We're going to talk a little NBA rumors on the other side of the break. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. Cubs president of baseball operations Theo Epstein has stepped down from his role. Speaking to reporters, Epstein said he achieved everything he set out to.
9 years ago, we set a couple of goals. The first was to build a foundation for sustained success that would allow us to get into the playoffs on a regular basis. And the second was over time and together to build a team that could win a world championship for the Cubs. It has not been perfect. It's baseball, so by definition, it's never going to be perfect, but we've accomplished those goals together.
Nick Foles could be available for the Bears when they come back from the bye. Head coach Matt Nagy said a hip and glute injury to the quarterback doesn't seem as serious as it appeared when he was carted off the field Monday night. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Javier's Auto Body is colliding with a shortage of licensed techs.
That 2017 is waiting on a clear coat, that 09 needs its left rear sanded, pounded, and painted, and the guy over there is waiting on an estimate.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Dr. Baker, an ER physician. If you're having leg pain, swelling, or redness, but haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't wait. This could be deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to your lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. Your symptoms could mean something serious, so don't wait. Talk to a doctor right away, by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago on this Hump Day edition. Looks pretty nice out there. A little brisk, but I don't see a cloud in the sky. Looks pretty nice.
It's relatively a nice fall day, so take it and like it.
Nice brisk. I like it. You get to wear a little scarf, a little jacket. As you know, I'm fashion forward, so I like this type of year. So the NBA draft is tonight, and there have been some trades that have been made already. There are rumors swirling. Give me your thoughts, because I know you're a big Wendell Carter fan. There's a lot of rumors swirling around that the Bulls will trade their number 4 pick to the Golden State Warriors, along with Wendell Carter Jr., to get the number 2 pick in today's draft. Would you be a fan of that?
I mean, it is what it is. If that's what they have to do to be able to, to me, no one is necessarily no one is necessarily expendable to me. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on with that. Like, somewhere I'm having a whole nother conversation somewhere else. Where's that?
I know.
Like, where is that coming from? Listen to too many things at one time. Is that what it is? I don't have a problem with it. I'm trying to figure out where this is coming from. Wait. That's not me. I'm okay with it. I trust that with the management and the coaching together, this team, I feel they're competent. They'll have insight to what this team needs. And so, though I like Wendell Carter Jr., and I was the one person who liked the draft pick. Whenever else thought it was safe, I thought, no, it makes sense for what they're doing. But I totally have trust in the fact that this is finally a competent general manager and coach who look at what they have. They've assessed what they need. And sometimes you have to give up something to get to what you need. And Wendell Carter has value. So often you have to, give up things with value to be able to improve and get better. That's what Cub fans are struggling with. But I'll say, and dealing him, it doesn't mean that they won't get better. So I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too. I'm just trying to think of who they would take. I don't know. Ideally, I'd like to keep Wendell Carter just because he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And if he had, I'd love to see what kind of season he could have being healthy. I'm a really big fan of this front office now with AK and with Mark Eversley. I love the coaching staff, Billy the Kid, and they brought on Chicago's own Mo Cheeks, and I think that's going to be a great thing for Kobe White, for Zach LaVine, because now you got two different point guards, on your coaching staff. Remember Billy Donovan, he was Billy the Kid out of Providence, and him and Rick Pitino. They shocked the world getting to the Final Four because they couldn't compete with people. So the 3-point line had just been implemented. So, we're just going to outshoot people. And they're a running gun type of team. And then you got Mo Cheeks, a guy who's more of a traditional point guard, NBA champion, Hall of Famer, who ran an organization as the point guard, leading them to an NBA title. So I think there's going to be that staff that Billy's putting together is going to be so beneficial to these young kids. The point guards, even though a lot of are hybrids, but you got two legit point guards, and I think that's going to be a big, big help. And to have someone like Wendell Carter Jr. running up and down the court with them, trailing, I think it's going to be huge.
I mean, I agree. Don't get me wrong. I like him, and I'd like him to stay. But to be able to get a 2 pick, that's pretty good, Shawn. You can't.
Yeah, number 2 is tough.
That's like pretty much you're getting like the best. I mean, you're right up there. So you may not get whoever is touted to be the highest pick, which is always to me a matter of what. See, to me, they have to look at what you need. And the Bulls, when you look at what they need, to me, they might need a stronger post presence. But it just depends. Because like I said, even in college, I mean, they don't play the same style of basketball they did that was 20 years ago. So I also think part of what you have to look at is in introducing someone into this mix that also works with the chemistry of the team. That piece I think is also important. But I also think at the same time, this team is now actually being properly managed. They have a respectable coaching staff. They have respectable middle management. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not going to be that monkey business of people spouting off. I'm just kind of
right.
It's just going to be different. So I'd like for him to stay, but to move up and get that 2 pick, I mean, that's huge. I mean, so I'm okay with it. I'd like for him to stay because aren't they the 4 pick? I think is that
4.
4? The 4 is still not bad. So
right.
you still have some good players left, but it's all to me based on need. Only trade up if you feel like that guy you need will go before you know what I'm saying, are able to select him.
Are you cool with them drafting LaMelo Ball?
Okay, here's my thing about LaMelo Ball, and I'm not judging him based on his fly by the seat of his pants father. I can't tell you what I think he is because I don't know. Totally got detracted in how his career has unfolded, but at the same time, playing in the Euro League can actually increase your development because for them there is like there's no college basketball
level
play. So Euro clubs are kind of, there's levels. So what would be kind of like high school, there's a level of play. Then there's like that college level, and then there's the pros, which means a level of competition, like pretty much the best of the best gets probably filtered out by the time, filtered. If you're not good enough, you're probably filtered out by the time you get to that college level. You know what I mean? Because it's club play. So I think it's interesting for him to have played because it definitely challenged him, and he probably became more fundamentally sound than how he was coached than had he stayed here. But the problem is I didn't get to see him really play. So I don't know what he is, and I'm not okay with just predicating that he would be the best because he played in Europe. It has advantages. The only disadvantage is we don't know how good he is, and I can't have a hard time going on hype. So I don't know.
I wouldn't want him here because I mean that's now you're talking Kobe White. Kobe White's going to be a point guard, and Zach LaVine. Like those two guys are going to share the point guard duties. I'm not bringing in a third, but you still got Chris Dunn here on the roster, although people are asking and inquiring about him as well. Like we don't need 4 point guards on this.
No, you don't. So to me, it's really about need. Do you need another big man? You know what I'm saying? Because you've had times where Marketing has been hurt. Carter, you've had some rotating injury pieces in there. So I'm with you on this. What they don't need is a point guard.
Right. All right. There's the kid out of Europe, 6'9" guy who runs. For me, I want to see. why not start the trend to go back? Why not start the trend to go back for a big man, with his back to the basket? If you think Lowry's your guy, or if you can Wendell Carter's your guy, okay, cool. Then why not, if that's the case, make sure this is what you've expressed to them in their representation. Like, hey, we want you, to be big men. Okay, clean, Windex men. I want you in there. I want you back to the basket. You know what I mean? Then you go get a dead eye shooter. You go get a dead eye shooter. People say, why did you take him? If you get a guy who can consistently just hit a three, with the slashers like a Zach LaVine, the slashers like a Kobe White, and who just sits out there and can nail a three, that's huge. That's huge. In Otto Porter, even though he opted in, so he's going to get his $28 million forever with the Bulls, he hasn't shown he can stay healthy.
And that's what I'm saying. You need healthy. I like his intelligence, his basketball IQ. When he's there, he's there. He contributes. But the health part, and you look at it, because this season, it'll be interesting. This season was pretty much, they didn't get invited to the bubble. And they shouldn't have.
Nope.
But at the same time, it allowed for them to get healthy as a team. So lots of time off, being healthy. So if he comes back, he's probably in a better place than where he was when the season started from a health standpoint. Lots of time to get better. But I think people realize how good he can be. So again, sometimes you have pieces that have to be dealt. You only do that, though, if somehow there's that guy that you feel like at 4, he's not going to be there.
Yeah. We'll see. Maya, let's change directions a little bit, because I don't know. I don't remember if we had talked about your thoughts on the Tony La Russa hire.
We did. No, we did. We talked about it. I'm not in love with it by any stretch of the imagination. I was like, why are we moving backwards in time? Again, I hate it. It was a friends and family plan hire, which I'm tired of that shit. But at the same time, unlike putting someone like Ventura in that role who was never meant to be there, La Russa is proven. So it's not like they went and got somebody who was incompetent. I just would have preferred something different. But it's interesting how things kind of shook out, where Cora back in Boston. So hence they only terminated him just for show. That's interesting to me, because that's kind of ballsy to bring him back.
Yeah, it really is big time.
I was like, that means they fully believe that he is their guy. Which makes me wonder, did you always have that plan? But anyways,
I think they did.
Like, man, we got to fire you because we got to save face.
Mm-hmm. So when it all boils over, we'll bring you back.
We'll bring you back. In the meantime, do a little bit of PR to kind of clean yourself up and grovel, kind of thing, whatever. Hench got picked up. We knew they would be gone. We knew they were
in a heartbeat.
We knew that, despite the fact they came as, so to speak, damaged goods. But their ability was never questioned. So the next question turned into, did you stick with Ricky? Which I was like, you didn't have to. And or did you move forward? I was okay with the idea of moving forward, but I was like, but La Russa. And it's just a matter of, I wonder if he will gel with this team. It was good because we talked about, I didn't know he spoke Spanish, and you told me that. Mm-hmm. So that at least I know from a communication piece, you won't be able to get over it because you won't be able to talk shit in the dugout. And be like, what'd you say? What'd you say, Padre? Really? So that piece is good. It means he will be able to directly communicate with people. And I think that part is huge. He won't take BS, which at the same time, it could be good for the likes of like Eloy and Luis, who kind of need a little bit to be reined in a little bit. They need they need some firmness. So I think in that piece, he's good. I think Abreu already said, I'm embracing it. I'm good with this. So as Jose goes, I feel others will follow. Will follow. So I'm going to sit. I wasn't in love with it. I'm going to sit put on this. He's competent. So I can't question his ability. And he's competent on 2 ways. And I'm not just being a manager, but he's also been in the front office. So if we can keep his hands off a bottle, we should be okay.
That might be the biggest task in his tenure, keeping it off the bottle. But, people talk about, is he his ability to connect to players and everything. And then also with the metrics, because but you're in a front office. When he was in a front office, and here's why I'm okay with, I believe he's okay with the metrics, because that's who used the metrics, the front office. That all the things, the front office people are insulated, okay, because all the decisions that are made I remember when Bob Nightingale came on and said everything's scripted. All the decisions are made in the front office, and the manager has to carry them out. So the manager, if the manager gets, if things play out well, then the manager's like, oh, he's a genius, but the front office knows like we actually made the call. And if the things doesn't work out, then the media's like the manager's an idiot. And again, now the front office is insulated by that. Yes. So I think so with him winning a World Series with Boston. Well, it was Boston he won a World Series with, but also big with Arizona and those front offices as well. I think it'll be okay with him as far as the metrics. So I just hope that he's able to get in there. My biggest thing is that he hasn't as of this day, I have not seen or read about it, that he hasn't reached out to Jose or Tim Anderson. And I think you need to extend an olive branch. Not an olive branch because it's not like there's anything wrong, but I think you need to go out there and introduce yourself. Say, hey guys, listen, I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot. His whole deal with not kneeling beforehand, not agreeing with the kneeling beforehand, and you got guys who are pretty big on social justice issues on this team, and that needs to be addressed, and that needs to be settled before you head into spring training, before you head to Arizona, and you're all on the same page. So I think that's one area where he really needs to bite the bullet and say, hey, listen, let me reach out to these guys. Let me talk to these guys. Because you'll never know who you are or who a person is until you actually have conversations with people. So I think he really needs to reach out soon.
No, he does, because I'm going to tell you what, he's going to lose certain people if he's like, well, I don't want it. It's not about you. This was already established. This was part of the culture. Just because you think it's not appropriate doesn't mean it's not okay. So you're right. Those are things I think they need to learn to see eye to eye on. What Tony wants, Tony is going to get. Unlike, obviously with Ricky, there was a certain level to it. And I even think at this point he has more power than Rick Hahn, and that bothers me.
Yeah. Because
Rick Hahn is the reason we are where we are. And I don't feel like he should ever be questioned. His decision should be respected. But, this is, again, Jerry, the family and friends plan, that's the only thing I don't like about this. I don't want anything that Rick Hahn has decided is appropriate to be negated because he thinks it should be this way. I was a former GM, but in this position, you are a manager. You're not a GM. Mm-hmm. And I don't want for Jerry to then kind of ice out Rick Hahn, who then will want to leave. Because, what happens if it doesn't work with La Russa? Because I'm pretty sure this is not Rick Hahn's pick. Why would he go this direction?
No, this is not his pick.
And that within itself bothers me, because that's already the first step in disrespect.
Big time.
So,
and we talked about that on the show. Like, if he decides to tender his resignation, I have no problem with it. I have no problem with it.
Oh, I know, but I'm going to hate it.
I agree. I agree.
Because this is not the time for that, because he works magic and we need him. And La Russa is not bigger than the game. He's not big. If he wins with what Rick Hahn gave him, not anything that he orchestrated. You know what I mean? Right. It wasn't his doing. It was Rick Hahn's. So I don't want to see him go. I don't either. And I hope Jerry doesn't lack that insight or vision.
But I mean, if you're Rick Hahn, I mean, do you want to stay and see the fruits of your labor, or are you pissed off enough to say, hey, you know what, screw you. I don't get to pick the manager that I think can take us to the World Series. Yeah, it's a tough call. How Rick feels, I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to see. Maybe he stays around a year or two to see if he can, to watch, to see the fruits of his labor, and then bounce. Put it this way: I tell you this: if they win, I would be surprised if he didn't resign. I'd be surprised if Rick Hahn wins, and he wins the World Series. Like, good, I did my job. I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out.
But the thing is, you really should want him to be out, because his job is not done. You want to build a winning organization beyond just one World Series. Yep. So you need his way of thinking to stay for a while. But we'll see. I just feel like La Russa is a killjoy. I really do.
Yeah.
I feel like this team will look and feel different as him as the manager. But I don't know. Well, we will see. That was a knock on Ron Washington. Jason said, but with La Russa, we're just going to ignore it. No, I didn't. I just said, can he keep his hand up? I mean, okay. Is it the lesser of two evils? Can you keep the bottle off of his hand and he couldn't keep the powder off his nose? Okay. Two different things. They're both technically substance abuse. One is technically illegal and one is not. But he's gotten 2 DUIs. And that one, when that story came up, I'm like, you didn't know that? That's not new news. He has a drinking problem. He does.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you can look at his eyes and you can look at his face and tell he has a drinking problem. You can tell he drinks every night. You can tell. So I was like, hopefully he realizes that you're in a stressful position. We need you sober.
Here's the thing. Like, okay, if you're going to drink every night, cool. All right, don't drive. You're a multimillionaire. Uber it, Lyft it. I'm sure they have a car service.
That's
do the crazy. I don't give a damn where you. And he's probably gonna live downtown, real close to the stadium, so it's not gonna be a very expensive Uber ride. And plus, you're a multimillionaire, so it's not gonna be expensive at all.
He can afford it.
Exactly. So you know what? If you're gonna drink your vino, fine. Go ahead. But don't do something stupid like that, because now you're putting people's lives at risk. And you know, he ran a curb. What if there was someone walking on the curb? You know, what if a mom and her kid were walking on the curb? You know, and I know it was at night. It doesn't even matter. You can still keep walking on. But the fact is that those are the things that you put yourself in that position. Just, you know what? Just don't even buy a car. Just come here and Uber everything and put it on their tab. It's, you know, on the White Sox tab.
Yeah.
Who knows? Hey, well, listen, 3 hours is come and gone. Man, we had a great show. I want to thank our guys, Joseph Phillips, for calling in, like he does every show. Evan Alton from CubsInsider.com. Luis Medina from Bleacher Nation. I want to thank love to see my co-host again, the one and the only Maya Kai. I want to thank our guy, our Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife, Ivan Vargas. Want to thank our technical producer, Elliot Baez. Want to thank Clarence Council III, our social media dude. And we want to thank you for tuning in and listening to us. So we're going to take a 45-hour break, and we'll be back on Friday. Same bad time, same bad channel, 9 a.m. to noon Central Standard Time. So for my lovely co-host, Maya Akai.
Au revoir, mon Moïse. $2.
And my guy, Ivan Vargas.
The Cubs still won the World Series, so I'm good.
I'm your boy, the Superback, Shawn Sierra. Guys, we will see you on Friday, and we're gonna talk about who the Bulls picked, who they traded for. We're gonna find all that good stuff on Friday. So until then, I got a couple words for you. Download the app. Download the app. Download the app. Subscribe to our YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube. We out.